Ange, no clue, far from the land. Tottenham stranded in shadows, no man's land. Lost on the pitch, echoes in the night. Fans screaming loud, no end in sight. Shift the blame like drifting sand. Promises empty, no steady hand. Wandering clueless in the football mist. Wishing for a twist, but nightmares persist. Shift the blame like drifting sand. Promises empty, no steady hand. Wandering clueless in the football mist. Wishing for a twist, but nightmares persist. Where's the Leo we waited in vain? Pains us deeply every season the same. No direction, stumbling blind. Tottenham's lost its mind. Speechless, impressed, they're at the ground. No solutions, nowhere to be found. Fans on the side, hearts turned to stone. Stadium echoes a lonesome drone. Whispers in the air, they speak of change. Hope on the horizon feels so strange. Question marks in every wayward pass. And goes the future fading fast. Where's the Leo we waited in vain? Pains us deeply every season the same. No direction, stumbling blind. Tottenham's lost its mind. Where's the Leo we waited in vain? Pains us deeply every season the same. No direction, stumbling blind. Tottenham's lost its mind.
The first game we look for, Robbie. Tottenham away. The first game we look for, Robbie. Tottenham away. When we got Tottenham away. Tottenham away. When we got Tottenham away.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to Tottenham Away, the best place to be post-match show time. Smash a like, hit the subscribe, hit the notification bell, all the usual suspects that I ask you to try and do. Appreciate you as always. Thanks for being here. If you're a Spurs fan, big up. If you're not a Spurs fan, welcome. Glad you're here too. Everyone's welcome. We've got a different panel tonight. Some people that haven't been on before. We've got Alex and Adam, first time coming on. We've got regulars. Dan and Maz and Scott sometimes in, sometimes out, but everyone's here. I want to start off tonight by quickly saying congratulations. And you know what? Well done. Newcastle United. It's been 70 years since they've won a trophy. They are this year's Carabao Cup final winners, deservedly so. They outplayed and tactically outdid Liverpool. They scored 2 excellent goals. Did go into a bit of a nervy ending when Liverpool scored, but they got it over the line. Eddie Howe has achieved more at Newcastle than Levy has in 25 years. And you know what? I messaged Chris and I messaged a couple of the other guys on some Newcastle podcasts. One's called the True Faith Podcast. It's quite a big one with the Geordies. There's a whole team of them that do it. And I also messaged NUFC TV, because I've been on some of their shows before we played them to do some pre-game predictions and whatnot. And you know, I said to them, guys, congratulations. Mate, they were all in tears. They were like literally in tears that they won a trophy. And they said, we can't believe it. What a day. And you know what? It's almost as if we've forgotten that that's what it's all about. That big day and winning a trophy. And we've got too many fans that would rather be entertained than win a trophy. And it's sad. It's really sad. But listen, well done to Newcastle. Another black mark against Levy in this ownership. So we will discuss the Carabao Cup final a bit later on, but I just want to say thank you. Well done to them. Actually, no, thank you for mudding Levy, actually. But well done to Newcastle United. It was a good cup final to watch. And listen, man, Newcastle, that's another team with Portsmouth and Wigan and Leicester, not even big clubs that are winning trophies in the last 20 years, and Spurs are doing fuck all. So is what it is. Alex, how you doing? You all right?
All good, mate. You?
I've given up.
Yeah, same. I'm detached. I mean, what else can you say? It's the same old. There's nothing new. It's not like I go into games expecting something new. Despite seeing Archie in the lineup today, I didn't bring any expectation towards our style. Like our style, everything, all of that it's the same. There's nothing more you can say about it, really. And the fact that we lost, it's our 15th loss of the season. So that doesn't equal the 08-09 season, which was much better than this season because we actually won something then. And so it's the worst season now officially in over 20 years. So
if we don't win the Europa Cup, it's going to be a disaster of a season. And the Europa Cup's the only thing that's keeping him in a job, and the fans are clinging on to it. And quite frankly, we're not going to win the Europa Cup. And when that day comes, we'll have the chat. But Dan, how you doing, mate? You all right? You good?
Same Spurs, different day.
That's how you start. Every time you come on the show, it's exactly how you start.
9 times out of 10, because 9 times out of 10, it's a complete and utter tits up situation, isn't it? So, what else do you want me to say? Same Spurs, different day. I'm sure we're getting to the rest soon.
Yeah. Maz, I went on We Are Tottenham TV earlier. I was on there for half an hour, and I was laughing the whole time because I just can't take this club or fan base seriously anymore. And Ben and Marlon said to me, "Stel, you only come on when we're winning, when we lose." I'm like, "It's because we lose every other week."
Well, yeah. I mean, how often have we won this season? out of the 25 games, I think we've won 10, drawn 4, so 14. 14 times out of 25, which is little. It's not exactly an amazing record for Tottenham.
Nah, it's absolutely in the mud. Adam, how you doing, mate? You all right? Good to see you again.
Mate. I'm all right. I'm just echoing some of the others. Just same old Spurs. The club that keeps on giving, innit? Crap performances, basically. I don't know what to make of it. To be honest, season's nearly ending. It ended ages ago, probably 10 matches or plus. I don't know where we go from here. It's impinging on the Europa Cup, but I'm still adamant, regards if Ange wins it or not, he has to go. We've got to have a new regime in the management side. He can't go on like this. It's just ridiculous. It's just really ridiculous.
Well, we'll get into it. We'll break it down. We'll discuss it tonight. Scott M, one of the biggest Ange lovers on the scene, has come on today to defend Ange Postecoglou. You must be proud of that performance, Scott.
Yeah, I was going to say I saw this coming, so I don't need hindsight. I'm Mr. Foresight here, which, according to some people out there, including a prominent manager, means that I think I don't understand football. And if I can see all the problems at our club with zero understanding of football, what does that say about somebody who claims he has 26, 27 years of quality experience? But like you said, we'll get into it and get to have some fun with our great squad that we have, and especially our great manager.
Big up to William Leone, channel member for 23 months. Also drops a super chat. You see what new owners can do. I hate this club. Yep, I think they've been in charge for 3 years, 4 years. Ian JD says, congrats, Newcastle. Look what happens when you get new owners. Yeah, exactly what William said. Hire a good manager and back him. Levy out, Ange out, Edeka. Absolutely, mate. Couldn't agree with you any more. So let's get into it, people. We played Fulham away, the mighty Fulham, with a stadium that holds about 15,000 fans, I think, or something like that, 20,000 fans. Fulham are better than Spurs because they're higher up in the league. The thing is, guys, we've now got our full squad back, except for Richarlison. There's no one injured. Okay, Van de Ven, he's on the bench, so he can play if Ange really wants to. Maybe he's trying to carefully play him in and out the team, but he played against Alkmaar on Thursday. And Romero, he started the game. Things did kind of fall apart when he went off. But, you know, if Ange ball purely depends on the centre-back, then the whole thing's pointless. Because what do you do if the centre-back gets injured? We collapse with Danzo. We collapse with Archie Gray. We collapse with Ben Davies. We collapse with Dragusin. What's the point? Like, just shut it down. You know, it can't be an excuse anymore. Oh, but Van de Ven's missing. Well, then what? What about the other 25 players? You know, oh, but Romero's missing. What about the other 25? You know, so I'm done with the excuses now. This injury thing is absolute nonsense. My question is this to start off with, right? The starting lineup was Vicario, Spence, Romero, Davies, Dogie, Benton, Bissouma, Gray, Johnson, Solanke, and Tell. So the first question is, if you play Davies at centre-back with Romero, it's going to be problematic, and it was. And if you play a Dogie next to Davies, you're asking for trouble because a Dogie's not been good under Ange. So that in itself is asking for trouble, especially when they've got wide players like Iwobi's and Traore's. You know, it's not the smartest decision to make. The biggest, you know, the biggest joke is Benton, Bissouma and Gray. Both Bergvall and Maddison don't start. So there's no number 10. There's no creativity. There's now a 2-week break. Okay, but Bergvall might play for Sweden. But Maddison hasn't been called up for England. So why can't Maddison start? What's the thinking? But yet, there's no bust-up. The players are playing for Ange, really? That made no sense to me whatsoever. So then when we don't really create much, the front three are almost stranded. But when the front three did get on the ball, Johnson was absolute shite. And he has been for a couple of weeks now. This is the guy that the fans sing, Johnson again. Ole, ole. Tell, other than one good dribble, what did he do? Maybe one good cross. I don't think he's anything special for 10 million. I don't see what Mikey Moore's done wrong because he's now back in the under-21 squad. He's out the starting squad. Dane Scarlett, what's the point of bringing him back? He comes on for 2 minutes. And then Solanke... He had 2 half-decent chances and missed them both. And this is a guy that fans want to tell me, you know, one fan. You know, I'll show you. I don't make this up. This is what they put on the internet this week. Dominic Solanke, 65 million, incredibly well spent. This is a big Spurs account. And then the reply is, haters will hate. But I totally agree. Who's the hater? Like, so if you who's hating who, man? Like, Solanke was poor, and we've got big accounts saying great value for money. Look, guys, my question is this: you look at the starting lineup. By the way, if you disagree with me, disagree. You don't have to agree with me. That starting lineup, is that a surrender? Is that a surrender to the Premier League? Is that Ange just waving the white flag? It don't matter the league. It don't matter the league. And if so, isn't that a bit of a dangerous game to? You need to build momentum, you need to build confidence. You need to keep players on their toes, ready for the big Europa Cup games that are coming up.
Like what I've said to other people, yeah, the season's done for me. Done, dusted, over. At our very best, we can finish, 9th or 10th, and that's only if about 5 other games, 5 other teams lose about 5 games. It's not going to happen, yeah? Nothing better than 10th. The season is really done and dusted for what we can achieve. We're playing for what some call pride. Now, if it was only 4 games until the next Europa game, I'd be saying, Ange, leave about 5 of your best players out, put a shit team out there, focus on that cup, we can still win. Will we win the cup and that? We know we won't, but technically no one can tell me for a fact that we won't. We know anything's possible in a cup. Are we going to win it? No, I don't think we are. But it's the only thing we stand a chance of anything. But when you've got 19, 25 games, whatever it is, until his next Europa game, and we've got this international break and everything, then why the hell is he making 7 changes and just putting not his best team out there? I don't get that one. But again, I've already been debating this on other shows. For me, the season's done and dusted. Do I care that we lost today? Not particular. Been saying manager out for over a year now, along with everyone else. Been saying the same problems as everybody else. But if it was only a short amount until the next Europa game, I could totally understand why he would do it and back him up on why he would do it. Because if we had 4 games until the next Europa and he went and played, say, Van der Ven and Maddison, and they both got injured, people would then go off their head at him. Well, we could still win the Europa. Why did you play them before a more important game? But with 19 to 25 games difference, I just don't get what he was getting at today or trying to achieve. I just don't understand it.
Guys, does anyone think Ange has just waved the white flag to the Premier League for the league table? And if so, is that the right thing to do?
No, because we've seen these puzzling decisions all year long. This isn't just a new thing at the end of the year. Still, we've always through the whole year we've come on here from day one. He's made lineup decisions, and we've said that lineup decision doesn't make sense. The amount of times he sat Maddison for no reason at all makes no sense. So this isn't something new. I don't think that we're seeing at the end of the year where he's giving up. It's consistent with who he is. Puzzling decisions that make no sense. And the one thing where I'll say, and again, I'm going to tell people, because apparently if you say common sense things, it means you think you're the greatest manager that ever lived. But just from my own basic understanding, we know Udogie struggles. He's a wing back. He struggles as a fullback. So then why would you put Ben Davies, who can't come over and cover for him? He doesn't have the speed. He doesn't have the ability in open space to come and cover for him with Tell in front of you, and Tell doesn't track back and help him. So how are you as a manager setting your team up for success when you put Udogie out into a position where we all know he can't manage? It's not how he plays football, right? It's not his strengths. Another example of Ange, he just puts things out there without any thought towards it. So I don't think it's him throwing it in. I think it just shows his lack of football tactics, his lack of knowledge, and him being out of depth at the Premier League, that he doesn't understand how to properly set up his team for success.
Guys, does anyone disagree with that? Does anyone feel that Ange is just either surrendering the Premier League, or do you think, no, this is just what Ange does? He's just a bit of a clueless manager.
I think it's a combination style of he's tactically inept. His game management's poor. His transitioning is poor. I know I came in your show earlier on, and I said about when we kind of single out players like Johnson from time to time about how poor he is, and he's just a tap and poacher goal scorer. But can you just think that if any other manager that could do what they should be doing, like Klopp does, and what Slot does, or what De Silva and Roller does, they adapt to the situation in front of them in terms of the opposition, so they get the best out of the players. And isn't a man manager, and I think it's just a combination that it's coming towards near to the end of the season. It's not going to mean anything, but yes, I agree. You should just try and make the most of it as much as you can, get the points, whatever. But it's just Ange's. I agree. It's just Ange's. He just hasn't got a clue. He's just gone. It doesn't show no reaction, and that's it. And if you notice, actually today, I just sent a video on the WhatsApp group. At the end of the game, Tal was coming over to the away fans, and the camera focused on that. And Ange's just like on his own. Nobody wants to walk with the players. Nothing. He's happy in his own skin. He just hasn't got a clue.
Well, the fans were having a go at the players, and Tell came over and said, we need to be together, and fans weren't having it. And then I think one of the other fans tried to calm them down. And look, bless him, right? Tell is trying to do the right thing. He's trying to bring everyone together. But the reality is, the only person that can bring it together is Levy, but he stays quiet, doesn't give a shit, never speaks to the fans unless he's reading a script that Donna Cullen wrote him. The next person should be Lange and Munn, but they're just puppets and no one believes a word they're saying. They're suits that no one can trust. So then it's left to Ange, who contradicts himself at every juncture. And now he's blaming the pitch, he's blaming the fans, he's blaming players for not waving their hands up, demanding a penalty. He's now blaming people. And then at the bottom of the tree is the captains and the vice captains, and they fucked off. So you've got this player alone for a couple of months going over trying to appease the fans. And part of me feels sorry for him. The other part of me thinks, mate, you should even be at Spurs. What are you doing here? So it's more drama. It's another talking point. It's more, media bullshit that everyone's going to jump on. And I actually feel a bit sorry for Tell in that situation. I do feel sorry for him. I don't blame the fans for being angry. Fans pay the highest ticket prices in England. We're served up shit every season. And fans are at that breaking point now. So, yeah, Adam, are you surprised, mate? Are you really surprised that that's happening?
Oh, more or less what you've just summarised, Sal. Yeah. Well, not surprised. I suppose it's long overdue. Son as a captain, I know he hasn't been playing the best of form lately, but he's been a loyal servant to the club. He should set the example, really, and just say, right, get the players, clap to the crowd. When he's going off, what's that showing to everyone else? The team is not in sync. You have to be led by your leadership, by your manager. If it's not the manager, it's got to be a captain and his assistant captain or whatever. And I just think the players have just had enough. It's been noticed that they're not playing for Ange. Everyone's this idea with Maddison having on and off, fisticuffs with Ange or whatever it is.
Adam, do you think the players aren't playing for Ange, or do you think some players aren't? Because I don't think the whole squad has turned on Ange. I think some give the impression they haven't. I don't think they all have. I actually think quite a few of them are on his side.
Yeah, some are in terms of who have influence. You can't really say youngsters are not got an issue with Ange, but I think the more experienced players, Maddison, maybe Son, maybe Romero, I think they need to set an example. But I think they're not playing for him, which then it does grate off other players. Whether you're a youngster coming into the team or whatever, you still have to show that leadership. Whether it's some or not, it affects the team dynamic.
Let me bring in Maz because he's shaking his head. By the way, Adam, it looks like you're falling off the screen. You might need to adjust your position because it looks like you're going underwater.
It's the angle where I am still.
It's like, hey guys, yeah.
I'm not thinking like that.
That's all right. By the way, big up to everyone that joined from Savage channel. Thank you, Sava, for the raid. Appreciate it. Appreciate everyone that's come across. Maz, yeah, look, you're shaking your head, Maz. What do you disagree with?
I'm not necessarily disagreeing with the sentiment of what Adam is saying. It's more, if we're waiting for the players to take responsibility or show something, then I think we're going to be waiting a very long time because Spurs don't sign the players that will demonstrate that. And my assessment of the players is, they gave up on him a long time ago, but yet they're still here. So we're seeing effectively the same pattern we saw from last season, if not worse than before, where the players don't believe in the system or the system doesn't work, and now they're starting to lose their cool. I mean, the fact that you've got a lone player going up to the fans to talk to them is not a positive for anyone, not even for Tell. I mean, first and foremost, why is he walking up to the fans as a new boy to the club to galvanise them for what? You're the lone player. You don't even know if you're going to be here next season. So why does he feel the need to do that?
Because Maz, he's hearing the abuse, and look, I'm playing devil's advocate. He's hearing the abuse, he's hearing the toxicity, and maybe he just doesn't like that because he's come from a club and an environment where that's not how it goes down, and he just feels like maybe I can speak to the fans and just say, "Come on, guys, we're in it together." And he clearly doesn't understand Spurs fans or the English football fan. When we don't like it, we don't like it.
or where we are in the league. I mean, at what point does a player decide he needs to go and talk to the fans? You know, if the fans are unhappy and you're outside of top 4 by a couple of spaces, then maybe you're warranted to say to them, look, stick with us. You know, we're trying our best to make our way up into the top 4 spot. But when you're languishing just above the relegation zone and you've lost a majority of your last 10 to 14 games, well, what is he gonna? What is he mediating? I mean, look, he's a young player. I understand he might not have a mature head on him, but then what are the other players around him doing? Why are the more senior players allowing him to walk up to the fans and take the shit? There shouldn't be. A proper men on that pitch wouldn't allow him to do that, and this is the problem I see. I see weak players. I'm not saying they're bad players. I'm not saying all of them are bad players, but we're seeing weak players with weak mentalities at Tottenham Hotspur. And this is the squad that he's accumulated together and put together in the last 2 years. And I don't know how many times I need to say it, but what does it matter what team or formation he picks? He's made that squad. He's made that squad. And it's, you know, it's beggars belief that we're surprised by what's happening. It really is, because there's no evidence saying that anything else will happen. And I would expect, and I said this earlier, if there's any players that truly believe in themselves, then I would fully expect them to be handing in a transfer request at the end of the season. But they won't. And that for me is a problem. Not because I want our best players to leave, but none of the players actually believe in better. Right? If Maddison had anything about him, he'll hand in his transfer request at the end of the season, regardless of what manager comes. And the flip side of that is, look at Son, right? Son should have realised that we're on a downward trajectory and said, you know what, I've got last few years of my career, I'm going to go somewhere and win. A bit like what Kane done. But he didn't. He stayed. And look what's happened to him.
Son can do that, though, Maz. Romero can probably still go do that. Other players can't necessarily do that. And I think with what you're saying, I'll agree with it to an extent. But you're talking about what someone should be like. I mean, tell you what, I'll write a book now and a list now about what we should all be like, but we're not. And like I've said before, I should be able to leave my car door open, but I can't because someone come and chore the bloody thing. It's just, it is what it is. And most players these days, I find more than none, are mercenaries. They're there for a job these days. It hasn't got the same passion in it that it used to. Yes, some have, but I'd say a majority ain't. So if I was to turn around and say to you, when your attitude isn't really, you're there for a job, and say, tell you what, Maz, I'll give you the same job, but I'll pay you 25% less. Would you go and take it?
But whether or not that everyone's different is not what I'm arguing, right? And whether or not they demand the same things as each other is another question in itself, right? The point is that Ange has accumulated, and by proxy Tottenham Hotspur has accumulated this group of players to become a team to try and compete and win things, and none of them are displaying anything to us showing that they want to win, and that's the problem I've got.
Okay, but you stated that certain players should be put in their transfer request in. Now, Son, I totally agree with, because Son, he had the world in the palm of his hand, basically. He could have gone practically anywhere and they would have snapped him up. Romero, he can still go and do that and get away with it. Most of the other players can't. I mean, really, realistically.
Who can't? Who can't?
Okay, let me. Well, you tell me realistically, one player in that team, bar, I mean, I barely even say Romero, who gets into one of the top 4 teams in Europe, or he gets into one of the top 4 in any league.
Well, rather than go through every single player, right?
That's why I said, who do you think could?
Well, Romero, Van der Ven, Vicario,
Spence.
Odoji,
Spence.
Do you really think Spencer's going to get into a Man City or into
Yes.
an
No,
Arsenal
it doesn't
team
matter.
or
Yes,
whatever?
yes. Man City, yes, I do.
No, but
You think
but
so?
it doesn't.
Yeah,
It's immaterial who
What,
they're
with
going
10
to go
good
to.
games?
There's
Matt,
there's 10,
I think Pep's tapping him up personally.
there's 13 clubs at the moment better than us, Dan.
Mhm.
Right? And those clubs believe in football, right? I would say all the Premier League clubs actually believe in football. The only club that doesn't believe in football is Tottenham.
I agree.
Right.
But if you want to go somewhere
the
and win
players-
something,
Yeah, but
you've got to do a
Emerson's
Harry
gone.
Kane.
Emerson left Tottenham. He's gone to Milan and he's won a cup straight away. I mean, we've got another 75 odd players that have done the same thing and all won.
They all seem to do it when they leave. I get it. But my point is, there's not. I mean, whether we're as shit as we are and everything, which I know we are, but we are still one of the biggest clubs on the bloody planet when it comes to money wise and everything, even though we don't use it wisely, even though our chairman's this and that and everything else, and we should be this and we should be that. I totally get all that. But the point I'm making is, to a lot of these players, it's not what it used to be. It's more of a job now, I find, where a lot of players are now mercenaries, where they would quite happily do a Neymar and drop a team like Barcelona
So how
to go
did
to
Newcastle
PSG
then? Yeah,
to
but
get
Dan,
4 times the money.
Dan, bro, I get what you're saying, right? But
Mhm.
that can't be the case, right? We're the exception to the rule, not everyone else. Yeah.
Okay,
So
would you have left Spurs to go to Newcastle to win things at the start of this season?
knowing how Tottenham are run, yeah, I would.
What, you really
wouldn't.
think that so at the start of the season you were telling me Newcastle was one of your favourites to win a cup?
No, but they're a better run football club than us at the moment, aren't
Oh,
they?
without a doubt. But you
Right.
said to go somewhere and win things, and I'm agreeing with you. But really, if you want to look at somewhere to go where there's a high chance that you win something, it's basically
Dan-
Man City or Liverpool.
But
Dan,
Newcastle
Dan-
won the
Dan-
final last year.
Dan-
They've got much more of
Exactly.
a chance than what we have.
I was about to say they
I'm
were in the
not-
final last year.
I'm not denying that. But again, at the start of the season, would you have put them as one of your high favourites to be in the final and win it with Liverpool?
I'd say they're in my top
Man
6.
City and
Dan,
others.
Dan, I put them in my top 6. I put them in my top 6.
I can go with that. I'm just saying, for a team, if you definitely want to go and win something and you're sure you can, you do what Kane does and you've got to go to a Bayern Munich.
Yeah, look,
Pretty much everything else is a clutch, basically.
Right. Is
They're
it
going to
the
take
question?
calculated risks, right? And they're going to
course it
take
is.
they're going to take moves and stuff that they feel is in their best interest. It's not for us to decide where they're going to go.
I would hope they would. It's more of a money thing.
Yeah, my overall point, right, is that if we're buying in the correct type of players, the correct type of players should have ambition to achieve things, right? The fact that we're not having players with the ambition to win things and they stay at Tottenham rotting for a majority of their careers is one of the reasons why we're in this shit. And that's
Still
my
getting
point.
paid. I totally.
Yeah.
I'm not disputing what you're actually saying. I'm agreeing with you, but I'm actually putting a reason down. And it comes to the fact again that if playing football was only a job to you, yeah, nothing more, nothing less. We say no, we'd want to be a professional football player, this and that, because we're not. But if you was a player and to you it was really nothing more than a job, you don't give a shit about the club really and that, and I go and offer you the same job, but I offer you 50 grand a week instead of the 80 grand a week you're getting, are you going to go and take it?
But not everyone's motivated by money, though.
No, that's not what I asked you, Matt. Hang on, that's not what I asked you. Yeah, I said I believe a lot of players these days are mercenaries. Yeah, I believe a lot of them care more about the bloody money than they do about the flipping football. The situation I gave you, if you was one of the players I said that looks on this more like a job, where they've got no love or passion for the club they're in, which I see a lot of players don't have love or passion for the job, and I offer you the same job but for 50 grand a week instead of 80 grand a week, would you take that job?
Dan, let me flip this on you. Hold on, let me flip this on you.
I've just asked Matt the question. Let him answer it.
It's impossible. It's too hypothetical. I'll tell you why it's too hypothetical, right? Because how many opportunities do players? How many players get that opportunity, right, to have that big of a jump? The only time that ever really happens is when the players come from a foreign league into the Premier League, or if a top Premier League club that has a financial muscle poaches a player from the lower end of the club spectrum, right? So if if a player from Tottenham gets eyed up by let's take Chelsea as an example, right? And they're offering them 50 grand more, but Chelsea's not very good. They'll probably still move to Chelsea, not purely just because of the money, because Chelsea actually want to win things and they're willing to spend the money. And I think so. I don't think the question you're answering, what I'm trying to say is, unless I've got a specific scenario from one club to another, I can't answer it because I don't know where they're going.
My scenario is to a lot of players.
Dan, I want to move this on because we've got 6 people on the show, and you two are having a debate on your own, and they haven't had a chance to speak. So I'm trying to balance it out, which is why I've only got 6 or not 9. Yeah. But I do want to say one thing about this, because I've coached players and I've met players in pro clubs. If you said to any professional football player, for one season of your career, take a 50% pay reduction and you're guaranteed a Premier League title at the end, they pretty much all take it. So I think that they do want trophies, but if they feel that they're not at the level, then they'll just go for the money. I think there's or they've won enough trophies, and then it's all about the money. So I do think most players deep down do want silverware. It's just whether they believe they can do it or not. I just got a couple of super chats here I want to quickly cover, and then I want to ask the others a question as well. Henry Fong TV, big up, says, I can't go on like this. It can. It's true. Big up the 2 Marks, channel member for a month. Make sure you check out their channel, guys. Cracking banter, those two. They do bring it to the YouTube community. A user says, all channels praising Ange Ball is cooking. Please come on here and explain. Mate, I'd love them to come on here, but they seem to run away. Fuck Ange Ball and anything associated with it. It's definitely going that way, man. A user says, once upon a time, we used to look forward to our games. It's true. Fans are pretty much fed up. D-Trix, I've seen this. Thank you, brother. I'm going to bring it up now. I'm going to get Alex, Scott, and Adam's opinion on this. I will bring it up right now and show the guys what's happened. A user says, sod waiting for how Europa pans out. Get rid of Ange now. Big up to Michael, channel member for 8 months. Michael, thank God you didn't come over to England for this game. Fuck this club, fuck this manager, fuck these fans who perform mental backflips to defend this bullshit. Mental backflips to defend this bullshit. We are becoming a fancy Crystal Palace. Rubbish. Michael, you're not wrong. You're not wrong. Alex, Scott, Adam, I've got a video for you. Yeah. Ange has had a bust up. Yeah. Ange has had a bust up. So let's share the screen. Let's get it up. Let's show everyone what's happened in case you haven't seen it. It's on Twitter. So this is what's happened.
Oh, right.
Now, if you don't know what that was, that's basically, if you couldn't hear it, as they were coming out the tunnel, Spurs fans were saying, what was that? What was that? And Ange turned around and said, what? Just, I couldn't hear the rest of it. And then it looked like Odebert came over and said, come on, guys, come on, respect. And then the fans started saying, bye, mate, bye. And so look, fans have had enough. Unfortunately, they're taking all their anger out on Ange, where it needs to be taken out on Levy and Enoch just as much. So I do hope those fans, if you're watching this channel tonight, those of you having to go at Ange, fair play. Yeah. Fair play, because he's not innocent, but you better be at the protest as well. There is a bigger picture here. But listen, again, Ange snaps, Ange reacts. It's getting to him. This isn't the first time. That's like the 3rd or 4th time it happened, the way he had an argument with a Spurs fan when some Spurs fans wanted us to lose to Man City to stop Arsenal win the league. He went over to the away end. I think it was at Everton, where there was a confrontation. Was it Everton? I think it was. Then he had that altercation in the tunnel at White Hart Lane. Now he's had this one as well. And now the players are getting involved. Listen, these are conversations and this is gossip that's going to happen amongst the players now. They will privately be talking about these things. There's no doubt about it. Alex, what do you make of it? Is it right that fans can have a go at them like this? And is Ange's reaction correct? Or, he's a human being at the end of the day. Does anyone want to take any kind of shit?
For me, it's always right, to be honest, because the players and the manager is the one getting paid millions. So, in my opinion, it's that. But once a man baby, always a man baby. I've known him to be like this for ever since his first what do you want to call it, like breakdown in front of the fans. Just knew like this guy isn't it. He's just not. And for the fans to criticize the players, despite it getting overboard sometimes with cussing, etc., you're supposed to be the professional, not the fans. We're the one paying. We're the one paying to watch you. You're the ones who's supposed to be able to ignore all of those things, even on the pitch. Like oppositional players, like trying to wind each other up. You're a professional. You're not gonna get sent off and like get caught up with that. You're supposed to ignore all those things. And for him, it's like the third, fourth, fifth time he's done that. It just shows that he's not. It's not a professional manager. Simple as that, in my opinion.
Adam, do you think Ange has ever had to face this kind of criticism to this level? Because he must have had it in the past, because he's mentioned how people doubted him and he loves it when he proves everyone wrong. But do you think he's ever come to a club where fans have put it on him like this so publicly and so consistently? Because he's never struggled like this. He's never had a season this bad in his first 2 years anywhere he's managed.
I think he's realised he's come to the Dragons. Then the Premier League's one of the top leagues compared to where he's managing the K leagues and the Australian League, and obviously, Scottish football's not exactly the creme of the creme, because the same two teams always keep winning it. I think he's just come to the real, Dragons Den, which the Premier League is a difficult league to win. And I think he's tried to use his experience or his kind of philosophy, and it's obviously unfortunately backfired, and he can't take the heat. Yes, I agree. We as fans are paying to come and watch players because they're the professionals. They need to lead by example. And I think going back a step a little bit, because I know Maz was talking about it, and obviously Dan was having an interlude with him. I think what this really stems from is the real poor intrinsic culture of the club. And I know it's been well documented that Levy's the guy who runs from the top. It has a trickle-down effect. And if the trickle-down effect is that the owner is not grasping where the club should be going and where it should be heading towards in the right direction, it's then going to start falling on its sword, where the manager can't even deal with it because he just hasn't got the all-round skill set. And obviously when players see it, they're not going to, well, some of them, because we've identified some, not all, are not going to respect it. So it's all just going to have a knockdown effect. We shouldn't be in this situation where a manager constantly is losing it because he needs to take the constructive criticism. Whether it's fair or not, that's another thing. But the players need to then take an example. The captain needs to take an example, and there's none of it showing whatsoever. And it's a complete. I think Ange's really realised that he can't have it his own way, and he's really finding it difficult.
Scott, do you think we might have a situation at the club where the players really, really like him? They like the way that he is with them, the way he tries to protect them, the way that he is a shield for them when things aren't going right with the media, the way that he might be like a father figure to them. They find him quite humble. Do you think there's a situation where the players like him, but they don't like his football? They disagree with that, so they're conflicted. They're in a situation where, Ange, we wish you did things differently on the football pitch, but we really like you, so we don't know what to say now. Do you think that is a potential situation that's going on at the club?
Yes.
Yeah, I think it's certainly for the younger players you see, right?
A
lot of people, that's the one coming out and talking about them. You also see his training, everything you hear about it doesn't seem to be overly difficult. I don't think that there's a lot of pressure on them. It seems like a pretty easy place if you are not at the elite level. It seems like a pretty easy place to play for a player, right? We don't see him. He's not Conte. He's not, making people throw up through his training regime. He's not demanding players give him excellence. He's not putting any pressure on the players. But it's probably a pretty easy place to play, and especially for those younger players who maybe don't know better, and sad that at our club they don't know any better because it's not coming from anywhere in our club. the expectations that it could very well be that they are. And I think one of the things why it's more of the younger players is that what we see with all these times is Ange can't handle being questioned. We saw it from the very beginning when he came here, from his press conferences. Anytime the media question him, he lashes out. We have that famous video that everybody got excited about, and I don't know the guy's name. If Bryce is here, he'll tell us, of his interview in Australia when he was the Australian youth coach, and he got into a big argument because he was getting legitimately questioned about what he was doing. And he lashed out, and he's mean and vindictive when he lashes out, right? He tries to belittle all the media members that they don't know anything. We saw in his press conference that he just had last week. If you don't believe in me, that shows you don't know football. It's easy to doubt me because you don't know football, right? That's what he does. But I can't imagine that there's any players that have any sort of ambition or any sort of standards that are happy to be 14th in the league right now. And there's no way that they can say that we aren't 14th in the league in large part because of Ange. So anytime you hear them come out and say, hey, we like him, we're feeling great here, I can only imagine it's because he's a nice guy to them and lets them, have milk and cookies after practice, and maybe they get an extra juice box as well. But there's nothing about him from a footballing perspective that they can like. There's nothing there to like about him when it comes to football.
Yeah, it does seem that way. Frankfurt Gunnar, you disappeared when you bottled the cup competitions and you bottled the league title. Now you come back here to say this. I'm glad you're here because it's important that in the sixth season of Arteta, your £800 million rebuild phase 6, that Eddie Howe is officially greater than Fraudteta. Took him 3 years and didn't sign any players this year. Newcastle, not one. Amazing. But thank you. Glad you're back with us so that we can expose you and the other goons that follow us. Smash like, subscribe, all the Arsenal fans.
Could I tab in on the?
Yeah, go for it.
Just going back to Tell heading up to, he was the only one, right, that went up to defense, and it's not a surprise for me because where he's from, Bayern, if you have one single performance similar to the kind of performances we put up, the fans get enraged and the players, they get ashamed because they know how poor it is. They get aware of it, and then they have to go up to talk to the fans. It's basic procedure there in Bayern. Take clubs like Milan, even if you go to my country and the top clubs that we have here in Sweden, if you lose a derby badly or if you bottle something, then the players have to come up to the fans. For Tell, it's just a habit, It wasn't like he thought. He knows how poor it is. He knows where we are in the table. For him, it's just a habit. And what it says about our leaders, Son and just Romero, I think Son was crying again, putting his shirt above his face, and Matters just walking down the tunnel. Matters gave the fans a thumbs up, and then he just walks off. I mean, it just speaks about how they've been affected by the loser culture that we have here at Spurs. It's just they've been infected by that, and they're comfortable. That's the most simple way to describe it. And for them, they know that if they walk down the tunnel after that performance, there's no consequences. There's no concrete repercussions. There's nothing. For them, it's just more comfortable to walk down the tunnel. Responsibility for them is not accountability. Really, it's not.
Alex, you said they're comfortable here. I listen. My memory's not great, but I think there's a famous Italian football manager that managed Spurs that something like that, and we hear him. I don't know. I think he went on a 10-minute rant talking about that, and we couldn't wait to get rid of him. So,
with what you said,
I mean, it's therapy watching that press conference, honestly, because everything he says it's now become true. So it's like watching into the future. Yeah.
Go on, Dan. Sorry, mate. Go on.
That's all right. With what you said, I agree with what you're saying. I think there's a hell of a lot of fans out there that are just ignorance is bliss. But I do think there's a lot of fans out there that like Ange, but don't want to hurt his feelings as such. It's like having that mate who comes down the pub with you and says, do you think I'm dressed all right today? And he's got a checkered shirt on with a pair of dungarees and he's wearing clogs. And you don't really want to grill him and hurt him. But if you don't, he's not going to dress better and he's going to get nowhere fast. But there's going to be the other friends who just want to be nice to him and say, no, mate, you look cushy, you look sweet. Those clogs, they look heavy on you tonight. Well done. Go on, mate, get on it. And that is literally the sort of thing that I think quite a few of our fans are basically doing, in the aspect of they like Ange and they're trying to defend Ange, but this style of football can only last so long before they're even turn. But then there's a lot that seem to just think we play attacking football and that it's working, and that giving 3-4 seasons and this is going to happen and that is going to happen, because they're just being ignorant, basically. So there's the ones that do like him and want it to work, and there's the ones that just, I think a lot of it is also coming down to is some people just don't want to admit.
But Dan, don't we all want it to work?
Yeah. Exactly, and this is what I've said to other people before.
We just don't think it is. We just don't have any belief that it is.
We want to work.
There's no think about it. A lot of people get grilled on their channels. Well, I say a lot, not many, because there's not many that actually speaks the home truths. But our ones who do, I feel mine does, yours does, Savas does, and then Alex, when he does his, does, and one or two others. If we say a word wrong or out of place, you're just slammed down as toxic, negative, you're a problem, you're this, you're that, you're everything under the sun.
Poison. I get Poison. That's my favorite one.
Yeah,
I like Poison.
Yeah, I get put on the same level as you and Sava, which I don't.
As Hitler, Mussolini, Donald Trump.
The point is
some people like Trump.
What you've just used there
it
is basically political the way it's done now. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because when it comes down to the political side, when it comes down to the football side, exactly what he's just said there. When someone hasn't got a leg to stand on with an argument or a debate, label them. Yeah, label. Well, no, I'm telling you, we're losing the games. We're conceding the same goals for the past year and a half now. Ange can't adapt. Everyone knows my feelings why on that. We're not doing this. We're not doing that. We're 14th, 15th in the league. We're out of every cup bar the Europa. And so what is actually positive? Oh, you're just toxic, negative, and you're the problem. You're just this, you're just that.
Dan, it's the only...
most of them. It's the only way they got.
No, it's the only way they can discredit someone that they deep down know inside has something. Like there's some
because they've got nothing to stand on. They haven't got a leg of fact to stand on. And it's the only thing they
don't have the heart to admit that they're wrong. You know, some people just don't.
Exactly.
Especially when they've put all their eggs in one basket when it comes to a manager, player, whatever. They just don't have the heart to admit that they're wrong.
We want to stand there and go, we was wrong.
Exactly.
We've won the FA Cup and finished third in the league. Brilliant season. We want to sit here and say, like I've said before, yes, Timo Werner, 15 goals, well done. Yes, Johnson, 10 man of the matches, 15 assists and 15 goals. Excellent.
Timo Werner.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, yes, Solanke, worth 65 million and he scores 30 goals in that. It's wicked. Ange's a heavy manager. We want to be sitting here saying that. But give me a reason to say anything like that.
Well, listen,
you know what? We should respect him. Give me something to respect then if you want respect. And he does nothing of the sort.
Let's get into the game. Let's talk about the players because we haven't actually spoken about the game. Very quickly, there was a super chat from a user. To reiterate, Ange out, Levy out, Donna out, Lange out, Money, basically everyone out. Rebecca, Matthew, Bob, John, medical team. Listen, a user, I'm with you. We need a complete reset. They've all got to go. I want to talk about the game. Well, because we could have got something from this game. We could have, but we did what we normally do, should I say, and we just can't defend. And it always comes back to bite us when we don't score. So we lost 2-0. Late goals, one from Muniz, who came on for Jimenez, and Ryan Sessegnon. Unbelievable. Ryan Sessegnon with a world. Well, you could have this. You know, when it rains, it pours. It really did pour. The halftime stats showed quite a one-sided game. Fulham had 60% possession to our 40. They had 6 shots to our 1. They had 1 on target. We had none. Their expected XG was 5 times higher than ours. More passes. They had 15 touches in our box. We had 3. and the running distance was equal. So basically, we were running around like headless chickens. I've never seen so many misplaced passes in midfield from both teams. I was on the stream with Alex and Adam. We were saying it the whole first half. Does anyone actually want to put some passes together? And Fulham looked like the better team. And at halftime, we were saying, this is rubbish. This is crap. What we're watching. Second half, Spurs actually played better. And we did keep out Fulham. I thought we defended okay first half. When Romero went off, it did fall apart a bit. But there's a couple of players I want to discuss because the full-time stats show a different picture. Total shots were equal. On-target shots were equal. Clear-cut chances, we actually created more than them. Clear-cut chances and corners were equal. So the stats by the end of the game were balanced. So I do think Spurs could have got something out of it. But I want to discuss certain players that I think cost us. I want to start with this guy here. I'm not blaming anyone. I just want to discuss players. Odegaard. Against AZ Alkmaar, he had a really good game, took on players, got crosses in, scored a couple of goals, and everyone did what they always do, and they waxed lyricals, they overhyped him, and they just completely took out of context that AZ Alkmaar are an average Dutch team. They're nothing great. Odegaard is supposed to stand out against them. Today, against a good team that's fighting for Europe with a good manager and some useful players, Odegaard came on and basically he cost us the first goal. And from there on, he was absolutely awful. This was him, and you can see him. He's trying to take on the player, but there's 3 players around him. Look, 1, 2, 3. It was stupid what he tried to do. And then they went forward and scored the goal. And the rest of his performance was pretty shit. So again, against good teams, what have you got? He's got nothing. He showed nothing. What do you make of Odegaard? Is it too soon to go on, Maz? You go first. Go on.
I'll just flip your question. Against bad teams, what has he got?
I thought he did quite well against AZ, Maz.
What, one game?
Yeah, it was that one game. Yeah, but he's only just come back from injury, hasn't he? So that's what I mean. It's
no, but I mean,
got much to go off.
It's effectively bad transfer policy. They're spending tens of millions of pounds on unproven talent, quote unquote. I say talent.
It's all resale value. That's what it is.
It's they're speculating, and he hasn't shown me anything over and above any other promising youngster has shown. I mean, we need output. I mean, yeah, fine. Against AZ, he scored a couple of goals, but then so did our youth team that won one game where those couple of youngsters came on and managed to score. I mean, what does that mean? That they're, instead of, Odegaard being 30 million, they're 31 million because they managed to do it in some random game. I mean, look, these young players, I'm not saying they shouldn't be at Spurs, and I'm not saying that Spurs shouldn't be buying these young players. Big clubs buy lots of young players, or they bring them through their academies. The problem we've got is that the rest of the squad is so bad that we're relying on these young players to do something, and they shouldn't be incorporated into a team that's failing and struggling, because you're effectively setting them up to fail, right? And they don't have any strong characters within that team to guide them and help
especially
them
in this
mature. Yeah, and with these tactics and help them mature. And going back a little bit to some of the other topics we discussed, where you have a manager that is so immature as a manager, that is willing to have bust-ups with the fans, pretending that he's hard. I mean, what's a 60-year-old man going to do against 20, 30-year-olds in the stands? I mean, let's be serious here, and he's childish and immature. And those young players, I feel sorry for them, because they're the players that need the manager to have the experience, have the mentor to look up to, and he's shown me nothing that he has that capability. He seems to blame everyone but himself, and when he does put it upon himself, he does nothing about it. or he doesn't have the capability to do anything about it.
It's all empty talk.
Yeah, and just more specifically to what you said, still as well, is that he tried to play it out in a position where he should never have tried to do that, right? And that is a symptom of diabolical tactics and instructions, where he says, play it forward no matter what. I mean, that is Ange Ball's tactics. Always play it forward. He doesn't want, players to play the balls back. And sometimes they do that, and sometimes they don't. And a lot of the time, they fuck up. And it's the same with Bergvall. Bergvall's done that many times. Bergvall, a few probably pulls it off a lot more than what Odegaard does. In truth,
I think.
Go on, Scott.
I think what's concerning for me, I know Odegaard hasn't played that many games, but he keeps making the same mistakes when I see him. And he seems to be a player that has some physical skills. He's quick and he can be tricky, but he always seems to get in positions where he does 75% and then he doesn't know what to do with it. He gets in a position, he doesn't know what to do with it. And someone in the chat said, oh, well, it's Bergvall and Spence's fault for not giving him a passing lane. Fair enough. They should have given him a passing lane. But at the same time, then he should realize when that passing lane isn't there, that running into three players isn't the right option. So it doesn't. Other players should have given him an out, but he still has a responsibility not to run himself into those bad positions when they aren't doing it. And he does it repeatedly. And to kind of go on with Maz was saying, if he's a young player and he needs to develop, he shouldn't be doing it as one of our main options in our club. Why are we now a club who's hoping that he can learn it playing in the Premier League? That's not where he should be learning how to do this. He should have been put in a better position where he can learn these things, because it's obviously something he struggles with. And when you're playing against AZ Alkmaar and the defense doesn't put you under pressure, he can look good. When you're playing in the Premier League where defenses are smart, players know how to put you in a position where it's a 1-on-3, 1-on-4. He needs to learn what he does in that situation. And you can't just say, well, the other players didn't help him. He needs to be good enough to not get himself into those situations.
I do want to add, guys, I do want to quickly add, right, in the chat, I'm not just blaming Odegaard for that goal. It started with him. If you watch my tactical analysis shows that I do on Monday on Big Up, check out the one tomorrow at 1 o'clock. There's always stages and there's multiple blames. So for this goal, just to clarify with everyone, it began with Odegaard trying to dribble when there's three players around him losing the ball. Then the ball gets travelled down the wing, a cross comes in, and I've circled, look at Maddison, circled. The ball comes to Maddison, and rather than clearing it or swinging a leg at it, he knees it. He knees it, and look, the ball goes straight up. So Maddison, one of our most experienced players, he can't clear a ball. And then it drops into the box, and the player circled is the one on the ball, and then Muniz is the other player circled who scores. But you've got Davies, Gray, and Bentancur. That's three players that could either shut down the ball or shut down Muniz. None of them closed down the man. So if I'm looking at this goal, I'm starting off with Odegaard, lost possession. I'm looking at Maddison, not able to clear a ball. Then I'm looking at Davies, Gray, and Bentancur, all sleeping, none of them anticipating the danger and shutting it down. So, and if I really want to be strict, I could say Vicario, could he have saved that? The shot wasn't really quick, but I'm not really going to put it on him. I thought he saw it late and he dived full stretch. He didn't get there. So that's 5 players I'm putting the blame on. But the common theme is, where's the defensive nous? Where's the defensive coaching? See, if this was Nottingham Forest, guys, this is what would happen. Okay, they might lose possession. That happens. But someone in that Nottingham Forest back line is either putting a tackle in, a block, or a solid clearance. And that's the difference. They are coached to defend. We're not. Like, when you break down that goal, I'm not blaming Odegaard for anyone watching, but he was the catalyst. Then the rest just shut the bed. So, and this is something I see every single week when I do my tactical analysis shows. I see these same things over and over and over again, which means it's not changing. It's been 2 years. It's not changing. What do you make of that goal, guys? Do you blame a lot of players like I do, or do you think one player's to blame more than the others? Do you think it was a bit unlucky? What did you make of it?
it usually starts from one player, doesn't it? It's got to start somewhere. Same as a goal. It has to start somewhere. And then sometimes with a goal, someone just smacks it in, or sometimes it's just an own goal and it gets smacked in. But it's got to start somewhere. But what you've gone and done is mention Odebert's name first. And straight away, because he's like an under-20 player, or he's a youth player, or a youth player, basically, quite a few fans will just straight away go on the defence of it. Yeah, but he's only 19. Same as Archie Gray today for me. Had a terrible game and he looked better in defence. Same as when you mention other players like Bergvall or other younger players, straight away a lot of fans seem to go on the defence straight away. Well, like Scott said, then maybe they shouldn't be here and they should be somewhere on loan. But going with what you said, yeah, it was down to Odeberg. What's he doing taking on 3 men? Whether you're 18 or whether you're bloody 80, you should know what you're doing on there, especially if you're in the first team. And that was not a sensible decision by him. And he was the reason we lost the ball that then led to A, B, C, D, why we conceded a goal. So I don't see nothing wrong with what you said. No, it wasn't solely his fault that it came to that, but he was the instigator on why it started. But some people just don't want to hear it because he's 19.
Yeah, the thing for me is my issue is with the tactics, because it's always like this. When our midfielders or wingers, when our wingers get the ball, our midfield, especially our 8 and our 10, they always overextend. They always try to underlap, or whatever you want to say. They always push up for instance. So if the winger lose the ball like Odeberg did that, then there's a huge space in the midfield behind. And because we have no proper defensive coaching, especially when the ball comes into the box, the players don't know when to step forward, and because there's none of that, we just ball watch, like Davies and Archie and Bentancur. And when you ball watch, the striker that has some shot to him will most of the times get a good shot off, and that's what happened. And because Davies, Bentancur, and Archie stood pretty close to each other, it blocked the view of Vicarius. I think that's why he didn't reach the ball to either. So it's all a mess, really. It's all.
Yeah, but this is how nearly every goal against us happens, isn't it?
Yeah.
A player further up the field gets dispossessed, and then one ball, and then the whole team gets split open, and everyone's panicking trying to defend.
Yeah, but it's because we don't play with a proper 6, and we don't play with 6 or a solid double.
Yeah, but there's a ton of things, Alex, that is wrong.
It's always going to be empty
in the system. I mean, we've covered this topic to death with Ange's tactics and how bad it is. My whole thing with Ange and Spurs is one, he's assembled this squad, so he's the one putting Davies and Gray at that point in the game as the 2 central defenders. I mean, is he nuts? I mean, we're 14th, and he's relying on Davies and Gray to be his 2 centre backs. And when you see that goal, rather than them going towards the players and clearing their lines and putting the tackle in, they're sort of standing off. Both of them are doing it, and it's just.
Well, Maz, let's talk about Ben Davies, right? Because I was on Tottenham TV today, and I said he shouldn't be at the club. I don't rate him. They said, "Oh, come on, he's a steady Eddie." I said, "No, he's not. He's not. He's got errors in him. But what happens is he has 2 or 3 good games in a row, and everyone hypes him up, but you forget what he actually does." And here's an example: Ben Davies today, the ball comes in, right there. It is. The ball's come in. I've circled him. The green arrow is where the ball should go. The red arrow is what he did. So Ben Davies, from this position, puts it into the path of Castagne. Look, there's Ben Davies clearing it, gives it to Castagne. What Castagne should do is put it where the green arrow is. Instead, he passes it straight to Vicario, and we get away with it. And because Ben Davies gets away with it, everyone's like, "Oh, it's all right, it's all right." It's not all right, because later on in the game, this man makes a run. Ryan Sessegnon. One ball over the top. Ben Davies, Sessegnon in a 50-50. Look how wide apart Archie Gray and Spence are. Look how high up we are. One ball over the top. The same thing we've been seeing for 2 years, still hasn't been rectified. But here's Ben Davies in a 1v1. And guys, let's have it right. He got run ragged run ragged and bullied like a ragdoll. Spence bullied Ben Davies and then scores an absolute blinding goal. So it's not like Ben Davies is this steady Eddie. He's all right. He's not. Ben Davies has always got either an inability to defend properly or he can't use any pace. And even when it came just to a 50-50 battle, he got bullied by Sessegnon. Sessegnon's not the biggest player in the world. So, yeah, Maz, look, Ben Davies has been in the club for 11 years and fans seem to always praise him. And I always say, well, if he was that good, why would he be fourth choice? If he's that good, why is he fourth choice every single year? I don't get it.
I don't think it's people defend him as hard as you're saying. To an extent,
yes,
if
they
you want to
do.
say that, then to an extent,
they protect him.
I'll say I do.
Hands. He's a good backup to have. They always say
because the
that.
thing is, I don't think he's the worst. Should he be here at the club? Should we have better? Yes. Should he be here at the club? No. But it was like when we had to get rid of a load of players. I know everybody does things different, but I put him in like 3 categories: 1, 2, 3 boxes, basically. And he was not in the prime boxes that you need, that must go. Ndombele was more of a character you needed to get rid of than Davis. Davis had a bit more to offer than Lo Celso, who hardly ever played. There were certain players you just had to get rid of more than him. For me, he just wasn't on the high point of the hit list of players that need to go. Yes, he is a player that needs to go, but usually when you play him, you get a 6 out of 10. You could say you get a steady enough performance a majority of the time. And yes, you see the total cock-ups on others, but there was just more. There was worse players that needed to go ahead of him, as far as I'm concerned. He should have been gone a long time ago, and we should have better. But look, again, it comes to the point on the business sort of thing. Yeah, what do you get rid of? Do you get rid of the biggest problem?
Yeah.
Or do you get rid of one of the latter problems? And for me, Ndombele, Lo Celso, and 1 or 2 others were a bigger problem we needed to get rid of than Davis.
That's Dan. That's fine, and I agree with you. But the issue is that Ange has had 2 years to assemble a squad and clear everything out, right? And he's done that, and we're still seeing the same thing. So I don't see a point in just talking about Davies, because we all know Davies shouldn't be here. We should have replaced him.
I'm going for each player, Maz, one by one. Yeah. We're going through them all. Don't worry.
I know, right? It's unfortunately at the club, and again, this is another point I raised earlier in the day. We don't ever have a window, right, where we give a player several seasons to prove themselves, and if they don't make it, then we have a plan to either move them on or replace them with something better. We're always reacting. We're always holding on to players for too long. We're always over sentimental, and a lot of these players have had their chance to shine and they've failed. And Dan said we should, no. If we think like that, no players would be left at the club. Well. If they're serial underachievers, then you're right, Dan. No players should be left at the club because they're serial underachievers.
But you've missed out the other point I made to you.
Go on, tell me.
The other point I made to you was, now a player like Davis should have been he should have been gone a long time ago. But there's several players you can see in that. If certain players have the mentality to adapt to different formations, different styles, different this, different that. You can see quite a few of our players are played totally out of sync. And it's one thing we've all agreed on for a while. And I think everyone has agreed with me. Even if we get an average manager in, as long as he can play the players to what they are best at, you will see a significantly better player. Certain players, and like you're going to go into them soon, so I won't go into all of them still, but there's certain players who are played out of sync, who blatantly aren't good at any other way. And they're getting absolutely ripped for it, for which they should, because their performances are poor. But then I think you've also got to cut that bit of slack. Well, if we're playing Porro as an inverted bloody wingback, when he's not an inverted wingback, or a Doji, or we're playing like Van der Ven on the halfway line, or we're playing Basuma as basically a DM box-to-box when he blatantly has nothing to do with defending through his whole career, except at Spurs. And then you're playing other ones as inverted forwards when they're actually this and that. Well, how can you sit there and say they haven't been at their best because they're not good enough? It's they're not at their best because the manager for the past 2
Well-
years has been absolute dog shit and hasn't played none of them to what they're actually good at.
Because Dan, we hold on to these players for so long that what at the point in which they join, they don't progress, they regress, right? They get X amount of years older, right?
Mhm.
And when you don't progress sufficiently and you get older, sometimes there's no way back. And
Okay.
right, and as Basuma as the example, how old was he when we bought him?
25.
I don't know his age.
24, 25?
24, 25.
Right, and now he's what, 28, 29?
Something like that, yeah.
Right. Do we really think that the best of Basuma is ahead of him now?
No.
So he's
Possibly
got to go.
not.
Same
No,
with
I get-
Bentancur. Same with
I get that.
so it's we need the club needs to
Okay.
have a policy whereby they refresh the players and better and buy better players in. We know that.
Okay.
And that's what I'm really frustrated with at the moment.
I get that. But then if you look at it again, I think everyone has agreed with me when I've turned round and said, if anything, this should be a top 6 team with the players we got, and a better manager would get us better results. So doesn't
but I
that
still
show
don't
that some
think-
of these players are better than what we're seeing because they're playing?
But
for
not Ben
one type of
Davies, though,
system?
Dan. Not Ben
Not Ben
Davies.
Davies.
No, I already said Ben Davies should have been gone. Ben Davies was out of the conversation.
Can I
about 5 minutes ago.
can I bring Adam in? Adam, quickly. What? Because I don't know your view on this. What do you make of Ben Davies? Do you think it's right that he's still here? Do you think he should have been gone ages ago? Because listen, a lot of fans defend him because he's a nice guy. Because he's nice, that means he's a football player that should be here. Whereas I think you should be here based on footballing ability, not personality.
I think, to be honest, I always keep making this point about loyal player, good servant to the club, you know. But yeah, he's slightly gone over where he should have gone earlier. And I just think, again, still, it's just a combination of everything what's going on at the club. The foundations are not what it should be in the right order, you know. The buying of the players when we should have had the opportunity to sell the players when they've been there too long. But we've had so much rip-roar in the club, like, you know, when Conte was there before and he said what he said and he exposed everybody and that's why he left, or Lever got him the chop. They're just too comfortable there. We're not being tested to where we should be. And I think, I do say again, what I said earlier in my points, I think with Davis and, you know, certain other players that might have been there too long, it comes to a point you've got a sell-by date and the leadership has expired. And that, again, is down to the intrinsic culture of the club. We are putting the foundations in the wrong order. Yes, we've got a fantastic stadium. I know it's been said before, and I've said it before. And we've got state-of-the-art training facilities, but we haven't followed it where we should be winning it on the pitch and getting the trophies and stuff, and then start building the foundations and having. And when players see that, they want to be part of that project. Problem is, they've just seen what the club stands for, and they're just happy to get a paycheck. And I know it's been mentioned earlier in the debate tonight, but I think they've just lost the kind of value about what it means to be playing for a club, whether they're a professional. They don't give a toss. They just want to get the money. But where's your values? Where, you know, if you're just going to go by, you know, whatever the club's doing or whatever direction the club's doing, from the owner to the manager and everything. And we've had to be honest, we've had a very uncomfortable ride. We've had about 4 managers now in the last 3-4 years, which has completely rocked the whole of the club and the players. I mean, one thing I do agree to the question you asked, yeah, David should have really gone a year or two ago. But what concerns me is that we talk about the young players that we've got in the team, but we seem to be getting them and offloading them, loaning them. Phillips, Scarlett, until he's had to come back because of injuries at the time. Where are they?
Dorrington, Donnelly, Will Lancashire.
Look what, Lancashire. Why? And more obviously, we've said already tonight. Why isn't the nucleus of this being put in the right foundations? Which again, it's all coming back again, unfortunately, to Levy, and obviously now Ange's come in, and like you said, so he's a yes man, and he's just keeping the peace. He just goes along whatever anything is told to him by Levy or the PR. you know, and that's why now I think he's getting found out where he can't take the pressure. And the question about Davis, that's just one symptom. There's many symptoms, and it still comes across that the teams are not in sync. The players are not being coached. They have really regressed. And we could be here all day and say, well, what about such and such? And what about such? We're not in sync as a team. We're not playing as a team.
But see, the reason I bring these questions up, right, guys, is because, again, you know, people think I make stuff, so I have to like actually find some evidence to show you that I'm not making it up, right? There's countless accounts, and these are big accounts that say things that are bonkers. You know, you've got people saying, "I love Ange ball." You know, this is a big account. Bergvall's the next Musa Dembele. You know, you've got this is a regular on Talk Sport making videos saying Mateus Tell fixes the Tottenham attack. You know, these are big accounts with a big following that get. Well, I'm just saying this is why I bring up these conversations, because I don't get it. There's nothing to back it up. And look, another one, right? Let's talk about this one. Let's talk about this one. You know, £65 million Solanke. Scott M. Today, Solanke. All right, here he is. £65 million. You had one chance where the cross came in. You've got to hit the target, right? So the green arrow is where it should go. The red arrow is where it went. It was wide. Then he gets another chance where Maddison brilliantly chests it down from here. And you're thinking, right, hit the target. The green arrow is where it needs to go. The red arrow is where it went. Now, these aren't easy, but they're not hard for a good striker. So, Scott M., we're used to Sheringham, Klinsmann, Keane, Defoe, Kane, Son, Lineker, you know, these kind of players. And maybe the level below that was good, but not maybe at their levels, like Freddie Kanute, Pavlyuchenko's, players like that. For 65 million, do you expect at least Solanke to hit the target with those efforts? Because I think if Kane's at the club, or if Berbatov's at the club, or if Sheringham's at the club, one of those definitely tests the goalkeeper. What do you make of Solanke? Because I don't think he's rubbish, but is he the answer? Because a lot of fans say, you know, £65 million. You know, what was it? What did they say? I'll bring it up now. I forgot what they even said.
It's a great price, money well spent.
65 money, incredibly well spent. And if you disagree, you're a hater. What do you make of that? And then I'll get everyone else's opinion. Like, you know, Solanke, is he the answer?
I think today and the cup game says it all, because not exactly, but I think Isaac was 70. Isak, however you say his name properly, Alexander will probably get mad at me there, but Isak was 70 million. He's 65 million. And you're telling me that they're anywhere comparable. Isak is what you get is what you expect when you are spending 65, anywhere upwards of 60 million, I'd say. You want a player like that. And Solanke isn't anywhere there. I think there's a reason why when you hear our fans talk about him, they talk about how hard he works, how much he does off the ball. And if you're getting 65 million as a striker and your best attribute is working hard off the ball, you better be creating chances for everyone else on the team. He doesn't do that. He might work hard. I think he's an okay player. But 65 million, you need more than okay. You need somebody who's going to change the team. In a game like today, when, like you said, the game was there, right? It was 0-0 for most of the game. This was a game where you need someone for 65 million who says, I'm going to make a difference. And I can't think of a single time in his career here. Maybe there was a game against Fenerbahce, he did it, but a game where Solanke has made, where you've said that we need a big moment and Solanke steps up and does it. And that's what you need if you're going to be getting paid that much money. There's no way anyone can say that it's money well spent. There's no way you can tell me we couldn't have spent 30 or 40 and got a similar output from someone like him. He's just not that level of a player for me.
Yeah, what I expect for Solanke is you can the cup final today. That finish Isak pulled off for the second goal. Every other game, I expect something like that, at least, to come from him. We don't see that. You can argue, okay, he doesn't get as much service. We don't play really with a blah, blah, blah. But when those opportunities comes, he doesn't make the best out of it. The header that Dan Burn put in, I've never seen Solanke even do anything close to that.
Can I say that was a brilliant header, by the way?
It was
a fantastic header from Dan Burn today. It really was.
And when he got those 3 opportunities, crosses, one was a really good cross by Lucas, and the other was, couldn't really remember, but he got 3 really good crosses where he at least could have gotten 1 on target. Every single one without. So
I think it was just poor finishing at the end of the day, Stowell.
when you miss those kind of
Yeah.
chances and we don't even come on target, then
when you do get a chance, you've got to put them away, and it's just poor
Guys, but
finishing.
Adam, but did you notice? I never said he should score. I said you've got to hit the target. You're 65 million pounds. At least hit the post, man. At least hit the crossbar. Just so we can go, oh, unlucky. But it's not unlucky.
Still, shouldn't he score? I'm sorry. I know you say he shouldn't have scored. Yes, he should. He needs to step up and score. Like, he can't just only score. Like, he should put in tough goals. That's what you need. He should be expected to put some of these chances in. Sorry, I know I already had my chance. And Adam, go ahead. But I do.
Scott, I agree.
Carry on.
Scott, I totally agree with you. What I was saying was he should at least, like the minimum, hit the target. He didn't hit the target with anything today. So that's what I'm asking. Like, and this isn't the first time. This has happened with Solanke. And the excuse is going to be he didn't get service. Well, then create something, man. Do something. Kane never got service half the time. You had to drop deep and create.
The reality, only Spurs, right, can get constantly arse fucked by other clubs buying their shit players, like Richarlison, Solanke, Ndombele, Lascelles. How many top players, supposed top players, have we bought for massive money and they've absolutely flopped?
A majority.
Yeah, it's nuts. When you look at the caliber of strikers we've had in the past, and you look at Solanke, I think he's just average. He's an average player. He's a little bit better than Richarlison, technically, I think, but that's not a very high bar. He's had 1 good season at Bournemouth, right? And there's no point in talking about him. He's done nothing.
Well, we've got to talk about it because
it's
part of the game today, man. It's part of the game today. We've got to discuss it. He had those 2 chances. I mean, look, I'll be honest with you. For me, I thought this one is, it's not easy, right? He's got someone trying to oh my God, what's it called? This is opposed. There's someone trying to effectively block him. This wasn't an easy header, and it did go just wide. It wasn't, a bad miss. So I kind of give him a little bit of leniency. But this is ridiculous. To not hit the target, and it went really high over the bar. That one for me.
To jump up, still, right? A 65 million striker to jump up and try and use his right foot to get the shot on target rather than using his left foot and shaping his body up to take the actual shot.
Yeah.
It's really difficult, right, to stay calm when we're discussing these players because this is one of the worst teams we've seen at Spurs. I know what Dan's going to say, and big up Dan, right? But yeah, they're better than what they're showing us. I granted, but in comparison to what we had before, they're worse. That's what the evidence is showing me.
As a team, yes, but player for player, no, they're not.
Yeah, fine.
Jose had worse, Conte had worse, but
that's all theory. That's all theory and hypotheticals. I'm talking about what they're like now.
I'm agreeing with what you're saying. It's not theory and hypothetical that they are better players than what Conte and Jose had. That's just a fact. And bar Harry Kane and Son when he was good. I think everyone would agree the team there is significantly better player for player. But now we come back to the manager again. I've already said, go and get me the best team on the planet and best defence in the world. Go and get Ange as the manager. They will not win nothing, and they will be so open at the back that the best defence in the world and the best goalkeeper will concede. But playing as a team, this is one of the worst Spurs teams I've ever seen. As a team, the way they work together or don't work together, I'm totally with you on that one. And the frustrating thing is, you know, I know, and most of us know that is actually a better set of players there that could do better with a better manager. And with Solanke,
a few of them, I agree. A few of them are, but what concerns me is you have players like Højbjerg leaving, and right now would kill to have him back.
mm-hmm.
Well, do you know what?
He was one I wasn't desperate at getting rid of.
Let's segue into that, guys. Archie Gray played in the 6 today. Archie Gray played in the 6 today. Now, look, it's very, very difficult to judge him off of one game. And if we do, it's a bit harsh because he's only played once in that position. I personally thought not much. I don't think he played bad, but I don't think it was that number 6 we're crying out for. But it's one game. And, you know, I'd like to see him play there for 5 games, get a bit of momentum. But one thing I did notice with him, his spatial awareness, he looked a little bit confused. Now, I don't know if that's because he hasn't played there in a long time, or actually it's not maybe his preferred role. He might prefer it, but whether it actually suits him. I found a lot of time his movement was crying out to be better in terms of how he was reading the game. And he was one of many players today that lost the ball a lot. That midfield lost the ball a lot today. The whole Spurs midfield, all of them, even the wide players. So, but I don't want to be harsh on him because he hasn't played there in 2 years. How long has he been at the club? Did we sign him in the summer? It was this summer, wasn't it? Yeah. So he hasn't. Yeah. So yes, he hasn't played there in almost coming up to a year. What did you make of Gray in the 6? Because he then got sacrificed and got put as centre back when Romero went off. So what did you make of Gray in the 6 today, guys? Was anyone impressed, or did anyone think it suits him?
You know what? He looked like a 19-year-old kid that has spent the whole season playing left back, right back, center back, and spent half of last year playing right back. Which is why, and again, like, and I'm not saying that to be critical. Like, it's almost a bit of a defense of him. Like, what do you expect from him? This is why it's crazy when people come here and tell us Archie Gray should be our 6. He should be starting 6 for us. He's 18 years old, right? He's played 1 year of senior men's football before this in the championship, and half of that year he played as right back. Why would anyone think that he's going to be ready to play 6 in the Premier League? Like, I know it's not the best league in the world. It's up there, debatable, whichever one it is. But it's a top league in the world. And to think that you can come in when you're 18, 19 years old, not having played for the whole year at 6, and that you're just going to walk into it is crazy. There's no reason to ever think he was going to do it. And I think it showed just how unready he is for it. Again, not his fault. And how ill-prepared and how poorly Ange has treated him this year in terms of his development. Because you cannot tell me that he's going to be a 6 next season with how we've played him this year. There's no way we should expect it from him. There's no way he's going to be ready for it. It's madness.
I think he needs to be given a number of games to kind of really give a proper analysis overview how good he is. But I do agree, yeah, he needs to be properly coached, and he's a young lad. But if the environment around him where he's not being coached properly, because Ange does regress players, because his high press is about scoring up goals more up the field rather than back in the trench, which should be concentrating on. That's systematic of Ange. Not critical of Archie at all.
Yeah, you could argue that. You could argue that since he trains as a defender, that's most likely what he does in training. He trains as a defender, fullback, or centre back. That he doesn't. Of course, he knows what it is to play midfield, but he doesn't train mainly as a midfielder in training. You could argue that very well in his first game. Okay, he didn't look good. He had a pretty. And then with game time, okay, you can develop into it, but we don't have that right now. With 10 games left of the season, plus Europa League, and I mean, really, why I haven't always rated Archie Gray as high as I do with maybe a Bergvall. It's not even because he doesn't have the same defined talent. You know, Bergvall, you can chuck him into the midfield and he basically do a job. Archie is he leans more to the defensive side, so. Why Ange has chosen to play him as a defender this year, I don't really know if I can trust that it is because he isn't ready to play in midfield. I think it's more down to physicality, being able to
There
read
was
the
no
game.
other option. There was no other option. You had to play him there. Who else did he have?
Well, Basuma. Basuma was there.
No,
Yeah,
I was saying as a defender.
Oh, as a
defender,
centre back
he had no
role.
other option.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
he
unless
had
you
no
put Pape
other
Sarr there,
option
which
to
would have
play
been
him
another
there.
experiment. Pape Sarr could have done it, but he's another experiment.
No,
Look,
I think
with
Archie
Gray today-
can be top, but he must be given game time we don't have right now. Like we can't
With Gray
give
today-
him the game time that he needs right now. I think.
You can only judge on what you see. And I will judge if I'm only watching that player play in that position 3 times, I will judge him by what I've seen 3 times. We can all sit here and talk about his generational, his potential, and his ceiling is super high and whatever else and that good. But if I'm a coach and I'm going out and watching him and I watch him for 7 separate games, I'm going to judge him on those games I've seen him. Today, he lost that ball. The only one that was worse than him was Bentancur. Basuma was better than Archie Gray in that first half. He saved our ass a couple of times. Archie Gray lost that ball how many times? His passing was not good at all today. And for me, he actually
That's when
looked
he
better
stands out.
when he went into the centre-back. He actually looked better there. But if his natural position is a centre mid or a DM, whatever else, then that shouldn't be a problem to him going back to that position. That shouldn't really be an issue. The issue should be that he's playing right back, centre back, this and that, which aren't his natural position. As soon as he actually went to his natural position, he looks pretty much worse than anyone else we could put there, except for Bentancur. And now he's gone and done that. You can only judge on the game as such. And if it's only 3/4 of the game I've seen him play there, I'm only going to see how I see him play today. Do I give him leeway because he's a generational player, like some say? No, I'm only going to judge him on what I see. And the other problem he's got now, same as Bergvall, it was something we were debating the other day, basically, is again, quite a few fans out there have straight away jumped up and said, generational player, excellent. Wait until we actually play him in his position. And then they've done the same with Bergvall, totally overhyped him. Even Odegaard's had, the second we got Tell in, how many Spurs fans went off their head? He's excellent.
I actually blame Alice, the Man United fan, for the whole generational Archie thing. She made about 2,000 videos on it. Alice, if you're watching, you've created a monster in this fan base. You're a generational video. I've had Alice on this channel, by the way. She's a top girl. She actually is a great person to talk to about football. But the Archie Gray take was nuts. There's no Spurs player that I've seen that can be classed as generational talent. You look at Yamal at Barcelona. That's generational talent.
Yeah.
That's generational talent. Him up so much, and so many people have. I would say the majority of the fan base have. Yeah, now when he plays, whether I intend to or not, I'm going to have my eyes on Archie Gray that bit more because he's this general player, this generation player, this excellent super player we've got. Like I've heard the words used quite frequently. So yeah, I'm going to have my eyes on him, and I'm going to judge him that bit more of the debates I've had with people saying that we shouldn't have bought a 40 million centre mid, 19 years old. We should have already got one who is ready for the game. And I'm going to then cross it to my points, and I'm going to sit there and say, do you know what? Okay, he's been okay as a centre back. He hasn't been good. He's been okay. But he's been classed as doing better because it's not his natural position and he's 19. He's done respectable. But if you classed him to an out-and-out centre-back, he hasn't been that good. But he's going to get watched that harder, same as Bergvall and that, when you've got a load of fans out there going on about how generational he is and how great he is and everything.
Yeah.
So people are going to keep their eyes on it more.
Do you know what the funny thing is? 1 year ago in the FA Cup at Stamford Bridge, you got a man of the match performance playing midfield for Leeds against Chelsea in the FA Cup. That was when they. No, it wasn't. But still, and that it's funny how it works. If I watched that game, that was the first game I really watched of him, and that really made me open up my eyes. I looked up his age; he was 17, 18 then, I think. And I thought this guy's a proper talent. He really like on the ball, off the ball. He was excellent all game for 90 minutes at Stamford Bridge. And how it just went from him having that performance to start, that he started playing right back, and then for us, for this, I don't know what the trajectory was for him.
Alex, I
Maybe
can
it was
answer
just a
this.
fluke.
No, it wasn't a fluke. I can answer this. Right.
It's-
What you
it's-
saw. Well, it's actually no. I shouldn't say that. It might be. Dan might be right. What I think it is this. What you saw in that FA Cup game is what we call potential. Right. That word we love using. You saw potential. Now, for it to become talent, it has to be consistent. When you consistently do that, you've got talent. What you saw was potential. We saw it with Jed Spence at Nottingham Forest in the FA Cup. He tore Arsenal a new arsehole in the FA Cup. That was potential. He came to Spurs and for 2 years did fuck all. In and out, loan, attitude problem, blah, blah, blah. Now you're seeing potential being fulfilled. Now we begin to see Spence fulfilling that potential. We did the same with Winks. He was an attacking mid. Yeah. Came into Spurs, attacking mid, looked good. The potential was flourishing. Got injured, came back in. We shoehorned him into a number 6. We wrecked him. Skip, I said to everyone, he's an 8. He played as an 8 in the academy. He went on loan at Norwich as an 8. He was brilliant. Came to Spurs, right, play him as a 6. We fucked him as well. Then you look at Mikey Moore. He's shown us potential. Mikey Moore has shown us potential. He's shown us countless times in Europe against weaker teams. Granted, there's potential. What do? We've put him in the under-21s now and rather play Tells and Oddberts and whoever else, Johnson. And we're going to get onto Johnson, diabolical today. So what's happening is, with Archie Gray, he showed potential, and like Skip, and like Winks, and like all the others I've mentioned. What do we do with him? Right, you're going to go centre-back, you're going to go right-back, you're going to go left. So that potential now is being damaged, which is why we've been crying out on this channel, and a few other channels have been saying it as well. We need a fucking coach. We need a coach that's going to develop the potential. Poch was a coach. Iriola is a coach. Pep is a coach. We don't have a coach. We've got a manager with a one tactic. That's it. It doesn't work. So these youngsters, bless them, Archie Gray today will say, yeah, it's all right. Of course it's all right. It's not being developed. And that's what I think. I don't think Gray's rubbish, by the way. I think there is potential, but that's all it is at the moment. It's just potential. There's not. It's not flourishing as it stands. So and he's going to get leeway because he's a youngster, isn't he? We're always going to be a bit more sensitive with youngsters as a fan base, I think.
I think as a team, we're a cut and paste team. We've got all the kind of ingredients to make a really good team. But again, the same post-mortem findings are we haven't got a good coach. The owner's consistently or more interested about commercial making money, which is fantastic. And it does rush up on people. Players do get affected by it. I just think that the DNA of the club at the moment is not where it should be. And I don't know how long it's going to continue. I'm just hoping that the protest over time is just going to get more traction to stop this rot, because it's not healthy. It's not good for the players. It's not fair for the players. It's a merry-go-round in the management leadership of the club, of terms of who's making the buying, how much money we're wasting, and there's too much agendas going on from Levy to Ange, who now Ange is getting the pressure, and then we're not getting the leadership from the senior players who should be really going up to the young players. What Tal did today, and just getting the support, right or wrong, whether he's done it, I don't know, but there isn't no harmony in the team, and it's going to obviously bound to dysfunctionalize why we're playing in the poor state we are and why certain players are getting exposed, and yeah, that's it from my point.
Mads, you want to say good night? You've got work tomorrow, right?
Yeah. Good to see everyone. Nice chatting.
Mads.
What I will say is that there's one thing that I'm very wrong about with Ange, and that's that he's lasted way beyond what I predicted. I thought he was going to get sacked by Christmas/January, and he's managed to last longer than that. What I will say, finishing off, is that I've heard quite a lot of people say, "Oh, he may stay on until next season." I'm quite doubtful of that. I think that when Levy looks at the numbers at the end of this season, and what potentially we could have gained if we qualified for Europe and done a bit better in the competitions, etc., I think he'll make a financial decision and get rid of him and bring someone else in the hope that, you know, we'll try and secure top 4 for next year. So that's what I'm hoping anyway. Cool. All right.
Matt, see you tomorrow.
Cheers, Matt.
Have a good one. Big
Yeah,
up,
you
Good
Matt.
one, mate. Take care.
Got a couple of super chats I quickly want to do, and we'll go another 15 minutes, guys, then we'll wrap it up. Dietrich Kane, big up to you. He says Lamau is a star boy, not like Oda Poop or LGREYBT plus or light skin Beetlejuice. That's what I love about Dietrich. He never holds back, does he? Just say what you feel, Dietrich. Big up to Dietrich. A user says if we lose Europa, will Levy really sack Ange? Listen, A user, we don't know. We don't know. A user again, Ben Davies was introduced to bend over. Oh my lord. Stixie, big up Dino. He sits behind me in the South Stand, channel member. EdX, always a channel regular, says this season has been made bearable because of people like you, Stel, and the community you've put together in Tottenham away. Thank you, brother. Appreciate it. Thanks to you all for stating the truth rather than the Levy talking points. Listen, I think there's a lot of people that speak the truth as well about what's going on at this club. Dan, Tottenham on tour, all the boys here on the panel, Sava, Mr. Box Office, Danny Kay. There's a few. Listen, and to be fair, if you actually listen to Ben Daniels on We Are Tottenham TV, he pretty much says it as we do. He's just a lot more calmer. However, his brother Sim's lost the plot, and I've told Sim and I've told Ben again today, he's lost the plot. Alex, big up to you. Who does Ange think he is? Keep confronting fans. Yeah, Alex, we spoke about it earlier. Rewind the video later on. We did discuss it. We showed the footage as well of him losing his rag. It is a bit of a joke. It's probably getting to him. Scott, have you got to go as well, bro?
Yeah, I gotta head out. I don't have. Well, I do have work tomorrow, but we're going snowboarding for work, so I think I can manage. But I have to get dinner on different.
How's that work?
Over here, obviously.
How is snowboarding work? How's that?
I'll tell you off stream. I'll let you know.
Oh, okay.
Anyways, I don't want to just leave. Many people here still obviously will know Cody Mack, old YouTuber, fellow Canadian, and there's nothing more that Spurs fans like hearing than us Canadians telling you guys about football. But he said something today that I like, and I think it fits today. There's nothing that Ange has done more than lower the expectations at Spurs. And it's what we've seen. It's why our fans are accepting 14th. It's why we accept these players that we have. It's why we big up these young players, call them generational, because the standards are so low now. And we almost forget what it was like back when we were a fun club to follow. Watching Steve, our buddy, Newcastle fan, watch that final today, it was killing me because I remember it used to be like that for us. There were games that we had where we got excited and were so emotionally involved. And I just hope that once Ange goes, we can get back to that. Even though with Levy, we'll probably never be able to be perfect. We know we need him gone as well. But at least with Ange gone, hopefully we can get some of that passion that we so badly lack right now in our club. So thanks, everyone. Great chatting to the panel as always. Big up to the chat. And Michael,
big up.
sorry, it's not just because you're coming on.
This is big up to Scott M. By the way, Cody Mack, original Spurs YouTuber from back in the day. It's a shame he's not on YouTube anymore, but he's been leaving out and he's fed up of Ange. You name it. I do want to talk about a few more players before we wrap it up. Listen, guys.
Johnson again. Oh no.
Oh no! Wait. Hyun-Min Son and Johnson today.
Yeah.
Like, honestly, especially Johnson. It's like we're down to 10 men, and if he's not scoring tap-ins, and we've said it, listen. Our community, our little community within the bigger community, we said it first. Other than scoring tap-ins, what does he do? He was absolutely dog shit today. It's worse than... You see Man United. They're slowly improving. They've always got a big fart moment in them. But that result against Sociedad today, okay, it's Leicester, but we fucking drew with Leicester and then we lost to them at our ground, right? So Man United are slowly building little blocks. And let's not forget, Amorim's only been there for what? 3 months, 4 months? And he's had no signings.
4 months now.
He's had no signings. And they're above us in the league. A manager that's been there for 4 or 5 months, no signing, has now got the club above us in the league. They're still in the Europa as well. I don't know, man. I look at that and I ask myself, how are they doing it? And Ange, after coming up to 2 years, £400 million spent, and this is one of his signings, guys. He wanted Johnson. He wanted him. He's not very good. And Son, listen, captain. I defended Son, and I would always defend him historically. But he's not at the levels anymore, guys. I mean, where are you? And by the way, I don't want us to just make a big thing about Son, because Son gets a lot of abuse online and it becomes racial abuse, and I fucking hate that. I hate that fans do that shit. It's just ridiculous. Criticize his performances, not his background. Like, what the hell are we doing here? But Sonny today, he was poor, and Johnson was horrendous. What do you make of these two guys?
I've said it from the first like sort of spell. Johnson is never going to become an efficient, kind of productive player for us that has an all-around game that you can rely on. Like, it is not. He has those moments, those seconds where he can produce a tap in or whatever, or a really like misplaced cross that it becomes an assist. He's never going to become a player that, like, in a system, other system, in a counter-attacking system, anything that isn't Ange ball, because in Ange ball he's proven he's not going to become a player that you can rely on. Son, he's more adaptable because he has more quality to him, way more quality. He has his finishing. You could argue still, certain scenarios he has that, and he links up play well, much better, and he has that chance creation too that most people overlook. But anything in Ange ball is just, I can't think of a player that excels in this system. There's not a player that can really see like has been taken to the next level. Johnson and Son, they're one of those players that they're not gonna shine in this system. It's the worst system for them. So Johnson, I've given up on. My expectations every time he comes on is just we get a red card. That's basically what I feel about him. Yeah,
Michael, what do you think about Johnson and Son today? Is it becoming the norm now? Son hit or miss, Johnson absolute shit unless he scores a tap in.
Man, with Johnson, I think I'm tired of repeating myself again and again and again, because like people will just keep trying to convince, like some people will keep trying to convince themselves and others that he is useful for us. I've seen this fucker play 45 minutes live against Bournemouth, and I was done after that, right? I haven't seen such a stiff one-way winger like this guy is, right? He just runs in a straight line. Like, what he should be doing is going to the Olympics to run 100-meter sprints, not fucking play football, right? I don't understand what else this guy does, right? And by the way, second game in a row, he gets hooked off at halftime, right? In the Premier League. It happened against Bournemouth, happened today, right? Rightfully so, because he's been shit, right? But I honestly like lack adjectives to describe his performances, right? Which is why I resort to swearing, but I just have no better ideas, right? And with Son, big up to everyone who watched the watch along today. Big up on the big up, right?
Big up.
I realized after I said that it's a bit repetitive, right? But I will repeat what I said then, and I had a rant about like the whole thing and mispositioning players, right? And it's not defending Son, but I think it doesn't help when we put him as far wide as we can and as far away from the goal as we can, right? Because today when he came on, Udogi was inverting and Son was put out wide. and he was like trying to be this touchline winger creator thing, which he's not, right? He never was the best creative winger out there, right? He was better a few years ago, but it wasn't his forte, right? His best side was running onto the balls, like having sprints, finishing ability, what we know and love about Sonny, right? Cutting in and whipping the ball into the top corner, right? It's never been about intricate passing and just beautiful crosses and all that stuff. He's not the type of a winger, right? So I think this doesn't help how we look at Son, right? Because for me, when I watch Son, I see him, as I said, near the touchline, and he's doing sweet FO, just staying there, and like he's not capable of regularly going through at the fullback, right, or a center midfielder who is covering him, right, which just renders him useless. And on top of that, he's regressing, right? On top of that, his level is dropping because like he's aging, right? His legs are giving up on him. He isn't as rapid. We talked about the AZ Alkmaar game where he was actually dribbling past a player, but the shots weren't coming off, right? He needed like a second to lay a shot off, whereas a few years ago it was instantly when he, dropped the shoulder and went on his right foot. The shot was already gone, right? The ball was already in the air. Whereas now he's getting slower and his brain is working as fast as it did, but his legs aren't, right? So it's just a sad thing, and big up to Dan for saying this, right? I fear you will encounter the same thing like we did with Loris, right? Where Loris has been a brilliant servant to this club, right? And I loved seeing him play, and I think he was a brilliant keeper for a long time for us, right? But those last 2 years muddied the image of him in our fans' heads, right? If he left 2 years earlier, I think our fans would be praising him to the highest heavens. And unfortunately, I think a similar thing will happen to Son, because I just don't see us getting rid of him in the summer. As I said, the only way I would accept Son staying is if he was a subpar role, if he had a subpar role, basically just coming out.
He should be that now. He should be that now.
He should be that now, right? But
that's why
right
he
now,
isn't at the levels. He's getting overplayed.
Yeah, but right now other wingers are so shit that even this washed version of Son is still better than all of them, right? Like, I just rinsed Son for like 5 minutes, right? And he's still better than whatever how did Dietrich call him? I don't know, because I'm white. I don't think I should be saying that, right? But whatever Dietrich said, right?
Light-skinned Beetlejuice.
Yeah, light-skinned Beetlejuice, right? Yeah, Son is still better than him, right? Yeah. It's that sad. Our wings are god awful, all of them.
And I think Son's lost half a yard in pace, to be fair, as well. And he looks completely washed out.
Ago.
Yeah, he looks completely washed out. And I think cynically tells me, as a cynic, that I think he's going to be kept on because of the commercial, right? South Korean market, they're going to be touring again in the summer tour, or in the late summer tour before the season starts. He's not going to go anywhere, at least for another season. He's completely washed out. But I agree. Again, it's symptomatic of the whole team, the players are they being coached in the right positions? Are they getting the best out? Is the manager getting the best out of the players? And unfortunately, like I said before, it's having a knock-on effect. Everyone's getting affected, even though if the senior players have to stand up, like Son, Madders, they have to. They can't do everything. And unfortunately, if the system, the tactics are not how it should be, like what Bournemouth are doing, or for example, how they're doing, and Newcastle and maybe Liverpool, obviously Liverpool, but it's going to have an effect on the whole team. So it's good. It's easy to point individuals, but it's the team that needs to be coached properly by the manager. That is what the problem is.
If we don't look at the situation with Son, it's the fact that basically what Maz said, we hang on to players too long. Son should have been gone 3 years ago. Even we should have sold Son at 29 when we could have still got 70 million for him. That's what a big team would have done. But then everyone, well, a majority on their side go off their nut. I mean, there's still some people on the side, like on the chat, saying he'd still get into any quality team out there. No, he wouldn't. Son wouldn't get into any of the quality teams out there anymore. He's done and dusted. He's he's lost more than half a yard at pace. He's got absolutely no stamina on him. He can't take his man on anymore. There is really nothing he can really offer that much, especially from that position. Do I want to keep Son as a player for, he's good for 20 minutes? Well, won't we just grilling a player, but when they're not performing, we should be getting rid of them? Or are people just now reversing the situation? Oh, no, it's Son. We can change it for that one. No, Son is another one who should be gone at the end of the season, along with Ben Davies and along with a couple of other players. Son has outstayed his quality. He's now overlapped it. He's now past his sell-by date. He should be going. But we won't get rid of him, and a lot of fans won't turn on him because it's Heung-min Son. That is why we are not a ruthless club. That is why we are who we are, sort of thing. And people will still defend him against what I've said here. Oh, but Son is class. He's still quality. He's not. He's done. He's not what he was. And with what I said before, Mike, and what you brought up, it's true. A lot of people are now going to sit here and say, yes, Son, he was excellent for us. He was brilliant for us, which he was. But should have sold him 3 seasons ago. Same that Loris gets. And it's upsetting.
But that's
you
just
can
a
mention
catalyst,
Delhi.
though, Dan.
Delhi, we got 100 million for. We got 100 million offered by, or it was rumored. Real Madrid wanted to offer 100 million. If they knew if Dele Alli was available, they would have come in for him. 100 million, bang. That was when he still was at his peak. But you can go with Dyer. I think United had a bid for a 40 million bid for him, rejected. Winks too had a bid during his prime. We can go back to all of these players that we basically got nothing for when they left because we were reluctant to basically. Yeah, it's all naivety, Spurs, really.
Yeah, you know what, Alex, right? I think with Dele Alli, right? I'm not surprised that the club kept him, right? Because he was such a talent at that point that you know that they like he had the potential to just build a whole club around him, right? He was this good.
Yeah.
But I agree with Dyer, for example, right? Where I think we bought Dyer for like peanuts, right? We bought him for like 10 million max, I think, right? So and he wasn't anything like special out there, right? So in this case, like I completely agree with you, and also because like we mentioned like a couple younger players, right? But I think we really struggle to just understand where a player starts like his decline. I feel like this club just doesn't
big clubs sell immediately when they notice a consistent drop that isn't like this.
Look, Chelsea are absolutely the best at that, right? Chelsea will just
right away
F you off in seconds, right? You can be a Champions League winner, legend of the club, right? As soon as they start seeing a drop off, they will just flog you off, and they will make a profit on you. By the way, I don't know
and
how
they still get
everyone
because of the Chelsea market.
I don't know how they are doing this, right? But they will always get a profit for those players, right? But like for me, Bissouma and Bentancur should be gone this summer.
Yeah.
Right? Both of them. Even though I really like Bentancur, but he's been playing like a complete bozo recently.
Michael, can I ask you a question? On this? If we finish, let's say 15th, in fact, anywhere between out of Europe, let's just go out of Europe. So anywhere from 9th to 17th is relegation. No, it's not. It's okay. Anywhere from 9th to 17th. If we finish anywhere in there, so no Europe, we don't win the Europa Cup, do you honestly see this club clearing out the Bentancurs, the Bissoumas, the Ben Davies and the others, bringing in the quality of player needed with no European football and spending that kind of money?
No.
And even if we change manager, even if a new manager comes in?
No, I don't. Of course I don't, right? I'm just saying that this is what should happen, right? But it doesn't. Like we know it won't happen, right? But I'm just pointing out that for me, if this club was serious, right? This club has such a financial ability in them, right? That being in Europe or not shouldn't matter for us, right? If we like imagine like this season that we are having, right? But just replace Spurs with Chelsea or Liverpool, right? Or I don't know, like Juventus or Atletico Madrid, like replace us with those clubs, right? And exactly the same season, right? 15th out of the cups, will just get dunked out of Europe in next round or in a semi-final, right? This club then would flog off all these players, spend over the asking price, probably spend something like 250 million to save face, to have some like self-respect, and to try and get back to the glory that and try to achieve glory, right? Unfortunately, it's not Spurs, right? But I want to mention this because I believe this is how this club should behave. It won't, but this is how I feel like.
That's what I said. That's what I said. This summer will be crucial because I think Romero is gone. I think we'll sell him for 60.
Alex, we said that last summer. We said it the summer before.
Yeah,
that.
and the summer before.
I don't believe that.
I'm bored of hearing that now, bro. I hear it's off.
If he doesn't get he is a rumor that he wants to be the highest paid player at the club to stay.
Who's that?
Romero.
He's not going to get.
Yeah, but that's what he wants. So that's what he wants.
He needs to be fit. He needs to be available then. He needs to be on.
I agree with that. But if we sell Romero, let's say we get 60 million for him. Richie, we get 30, 25 something for him. And we sell Bentancur and Bissouma. If we have that kind of rebuild without Europe, if we're not in Europe next season, then I believe that we can get back into the top 4 within a season with a new coach, not with Ange.
Yeah, but then
you got to spend for wages. If you don't pay the wages, you ain't getting the players. And then when it's players where you're not in the Champions League, nothing else, you have to spend the extra wages.
Yeah, but they haven't bought stars. Look at Forest. They're sitting third right now with a manager that fits their club philosophy. They have players that fits the manager's mold. Look at them. Their players aren't on high wages.
But Forest haven't got Spurs history.
Of course,
Forest haven't got the history of going to Spurs and your career almost gets
ended. Huge difference. But I don't think you have to get these top high. I think you need to get a manager that has players that fits him.
Nottingham Forest have got a proven Premier League manager, right? He's been in this league before. He did well at Wolves. All right, got mugged off at Spurs, but he's got pedigree. And they've also got a chairman who's a proven winning chairman at other clubs in Europe. He turned Olympia around. So they've got a winning formula, or they've got a formula that works.
Good scouts.
That's true.
But
they're a proper football club. It's only football at Forest. There's nothing else.
But it is. And Forest will spend this. I know their owner. He's a Greek. He's a tycoon. He's also a bit dodgy, but
he just wants to win. That's what he wants.
If they get Champions League, listen, guys, mark my words. If Forest get Champions League, he's going to back it, and he's going to go big. Mark my words. They will go for it. It's not going to be like Spurs. We get Champions League. All right, we don't need to buy players now because we've got top 4. The money's in the bank. Different. We actually, in some ways, the history of Spurs is we only spend money when we're out of Europe because we need to get back in, and they can't afford to be out again and again. So normally we actually spend money when we're fucked.
Yeah, imagine having
the wages as well. You've got to pay the wages. Chelsea ain't going to increase the wages straight. Finishing.
He's not going to. I know. He's not going to change it. He spent a whole year reducing it.
I know that, but I'm saying what should be done. Chelsea could go and finish 15th, 3 years on the trot, and then still go out and buy 3 or 4 banging players because they'd pay the extra in the wages for that player. Would say he would want 110 at what club he goes to. Chelsea would go, well, we'll give you 150, and Chelsea will pay the extra wages that would attract a player because money talks, and people know Chelsea mean business. Basically, everyone knows, as all Spurs is about, is business, not football business. And we won't pay the extra money to attract players that we need to. This is where we're going to need to have an excellent scouting set, and we don't have it.
Boys, what would you say are the positions that we need the most right now? Like the new players?
Okay, guys, wait, before we answer this question, before we answer this question, right, I think it's important. What we want and what the system needs is 2 different things, because we're all going to say we need a number 6, but he doesn't play with one. So what's the point, right? So I think we need to factor in how he wants us to play and what we want as fans are 2 different things.
Yeah, but will he? Okay, let me rephrase that question, right? Because I personally believe he's off in the summer. or
Yeah.
at least I pray to fucking God that he's off in the summer, right?
Yeah.
I don't think he's
And-
off, man.
Yeah, there is a possibility he isn't, right?
They've
Which
stuck with him. They've stuck with him. Why would they do that?
if that's the case, then like Lord have mercy, right, on our poor souls, right? But if he's not, I'm talking like when you look at the squad, what is this squad lacking, right? If like we don't know who the next manager is, but just assume Ange is gone, right? What would be the positions you guys would
Can I go
focus on?
first, Michael? Can I go
Yeah.
first? We badly need a midfielder that controls a game of football, that can speed it up, that can slow it down, but like a Pirlo, an Ericsson, someone that can control a game of football. We are desperately in need of that. And we need another midfielder who is an animal, someone like a Joe Linton, someone like someone that can physically bully players, because our midfield is so pussified. So we need someone, ideally, a unit that can play football, like Wanyama. Wanyama was perfect. Okay, he was more of a defensive mid, though. But
What's his name at Villa? Is it McGuinn?
McGinn, he's
McGinn,
Mate,
Someone like him we could do with in midfield, purely
We need
for
a
his physicality.
mate, Tonali. Tonali today was fantastic for Newcastle. We
Their
need
entire
that,
midfield was amazing. Yeah.
right? We need an animal that can play football, and we need like the Dembele, the Ericsson that can control the game. Those two midfielders, I think, change the whole dynamic. I don't think it's the answer for everything, but our midfield is so poor, man. I think when I look at Spurs, think about it. The midfield's job is to protect the back line and to provide for the front line. So they are the connecting piece. And it's very average. It's a very, very average midfield, and it's inconsistent. I don't think Pape Sarr's at the level. I don't think Basuma's going to cut it. I don't think Madison's going to stay fit. Bentoncourt inconsistent. Bergvall's a kid. Genuinely, do you look at and say, "Oh, thank God he's playing"? I don't ever feel that way. Kulu, maybe, but again, he doesn't dictate a game of football. We desperately need a ball-playing dictator of the play, not dictator like Mussolini. Right? A ball dictator of the play and an animal. I think those two players for me are the two I'd focus on. That if it was down to me, Michael, they're the two. Well, I've only picked two. I think we need about 6 players, by the way, but I'm for 2.
Yeah, so Dan, Alex, Adam, what are your opinions? I will give you mine.
I think we need an elite, not elite, high top as a top weight, but I just think we need a winger that scores goals and that is clinical, and that can take him in. I think we need a winger that makes everyone in this fan base go, "Wow, we actually signed that guy." A winger of that caliber, and then I think we need with Stell here a physical and competent defensive midfielder, because I believe right now we don't have a single defensive midfielder in our squad. Bentancur plays offensive for Uruguay because that's what he has always played. He's a more offensive-minded player, in my opinion. Even though he can fill in at a 6, I don't think he is a 6. He's not. Bissouma
played it for 3 years
for Mali, and who else? We don't have a 6 in this squad. We don't have someone that has grown up in that role, that has been nurtured in that role, and that can master that role in a team that needs top level performances. I don't think we have that. So I think we should go out for someone like Angelo Stiller from Stuttgart, top defensive midfielder. Who knows, when he comes to Spurs, he might shit the bed as every other player we sign. But a 6 and a level winger, that's mine.
Alex, do you know who I really wanted? And I said it last summer, and I was saying it, I was screaming it, and it just fell on deaf ears, was Manu Kone. I was banging on about it. And he went to fucking Roma. And I'm like, we could have got him at that price.
Yeah.
They bought him for like 25 million or something, right?
20 million British pounds, and we fucking spent 50 on fucking Johnson and 65 on Solanke.
Yeah, but Kone is that kind of hybrid, 6'8" hybrid.
Exactly. That's what Ange needs.
yeah, you can argue that, but he's more of a, when you compare him to a pure 6, he's more similar to Bentancur and Bissouma than he is to like a Rodri.
He's better.
He's better than that. We need a big, like Joe Linton today. I think he's just the dirty work he did was amazing. Like Joe Linton, just all the tackles, like that kind of physicality in and around our midfield. I think that's what we crave. That. yeah, Angelo Stiller, in my opinion, and
Yeah.
you look at Ricky from Torini, Samuel Ricky, or yeah, there's multiple options, but
I mean,
there's not really a good
Two
market.
centre mids I'd go for that we need.
Yeah.
I mean, the thing about Benton Core, he's never played attacking midfielder. He does it for Uruguay now and again. He did it. He played DM, deep line playmaker at Juventus for 3 bloody years,
Yeah,
and he is the closest we've got to a DM, even though he isn't an out DM. But he's one who used to control the ball back there with Ramsey next to him. 3 years he did that, and we don't even use him for that because he would probably be the better one at it, even though I don't think he'd be very good at it. The two I would love to see is 2 centre mids, because even though up front we ain't good, but there is goals there. Whether you like Johnson or not, if you get the ball drilled across, he can get into the position to tap it in the net. I'd love him out, but I think we got bigger problems. And apart from the way we play, if we played half sensible football, I don't think it would be so bad at the back. It's the midfield that is the issue. And 2 players I'd love to go for. Locatelli, which I think we could have gone for and got him. And the other one I'd love to go for is Edison from Atalanta.
Edison. Yeah, I was going to say Edison.
Yeah, Edison, man. Good
Edison.
player.
Edison would be the one who can boss the midfield because he does a very good job at doing it, but he's also good at passing as well. And Locatelli is one who's got a hell of a lot of experience, good passer of the ball. Yeah, slow player, but then Ericsson wasn't fast either, but he's a good passer of the ball. And he doesn't lose concentration like Bentancur does. It's one thing Bentancur was always guilty of, and that was losing concentration during a game for moments. But
See,
with them two
Wait,
centre mids on who
Stel.
I'd love there.
Because I want to make a point, but I want to hear what Adam says, right? Adam, like, do you agree with midfield and wingers? Do you
Certainly
have like
central midfielder.
Yeah.
Definitely,
so
Michael.
you
Central
know,
midfielder, defensively as well as central midfielder, so they can have the room and space just to supply the balls up front. But I think, again, you know, we're all talking what we do need, but providing that we have a project reset where that we are understanding that if we want these players, they've got to be playing under the manager that wants to go in that same direction, right? So I'm being hypothetical now, so I'm going beyond Ange if he goes, hopefully in the summer. Providing we can get those players, providing that they know they're going to come to a club that they're going to be managed properly, right?
Yeah.
Because it's pointless we saying who we need, who we want, if we know that we're going to be resigned to potentially having this issue if the Ange is still going to be there, right? So it definitely is a project reset. But essentially, midfield is definitely what we're lacking. We need to cut out between the problems where the opposition are obviously going past the midfields and exposing the defence, right? So we definitely need 2 central midfields in that department.
Yeah. Guys, I just want to simplify something that I thought of. This summer, when everybody praised the window and called it amazing, blah 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 blah, because there was names to it, there was hype around kids. There's a youth project going on, etc. Just want to mention something. Forest signed 6 25-ish senior professionals to their squads. Bournemouth signed 4 25-ish year old senior professionals. Spurs signed 1. We signed 1 of those. I'm not saying talents are indispensable, that they're not players. Of course, they're players. They take a place up in the squad. But if you look at it from a pure experience perspective, Forest and Bournemouth, which have gone up huge levels this season, they've totally outdone us simply because they signed experience.
Yeah.
I'm not saying you can go out and sign any 25-year-old. He's going to bring experience, blah, blah. Of course, there has to be talent, probable levels of talent, but that's the thing. Like, you could look at it from that perspective and everything makes sense. Why we've gone like this under this manager, who's, of course, he has us way, way lower than we should be. But Forest signed 6 25-year-olds-ish. We signed 1. We signed 1.
So the reason why I asked you this question about the squad, right? I can bet you all my life savings, right, that the 5 of us with like 3 hours, a fucking Transfermarkt database, right, and FBref could come up with a list of 20 players in Europe, right, that would be good enough to play for us, right, that this club can go out there and buy, right, which I say this because I mentioned this on plenty of like different forums, Reddit, on like Facebook groups, in some WhatsApp groups, right? What this club should do is go, and I say this club should go out there and buy Ederson, right? And you immediately get clapped back with, oh, no, Ederson ain't coming to us, like City are interested, right? And the reason why I asked this, right? Because like I asked all four of you about the positions. You all mentioned midfield, and you all mentioned different names, right? Like Alex mentioned Stiller from Stuttgart. Dan mentioned Locatelli. Stelios mentioned Manokone. We mentioned Ederson. The 4 names already, right? All of them won't be moving to a bigger and better club than us that can pay more money than us, right? There aren't many clubs that can pay more money than us, right? Which is why I am so fucking frustrated with this club, right? When I watch them go into a summer like the one we had just, right? And buy Solanke and 4 youngsters, right? This club is just not serious, right? And I'm saying this because unlike Newcastle, who are restrained with PSR, right? And they haven't bought players for like 3 windows, right? I feel like
I just have to say this. We haven't been serious for 24 years. You know what we've been? We've been lucky. With Coach, we were lucky. With all our Delis, Sons, we were lucky. We haven't been serious for a single year. We've been lucky for Enix's entire reign. We've been lucky. Go on.
No, because I say this, right? Because I don't think to repair this club, right? Like we won't go from this season to winning the league. There is no amount of money there is like we could spend $1 billion and this club wouldn't go from being 15th to winning the league, right? I just don't believe that you could bring us fucking Mbappe, Vinicius Junior on the wing, Rodri in the midfield, and I don't think this club suddenly like that wins the league from being 15th, right? But I believe without spending out of their money, out of this world money on like world-class players that everyone will just say, oh, they ain't coming to Spurs, I believe this club can be repaired, right? And this is why I am so frustrated because, like I said, right, I think both Bissouma and Bentancur should be gone this summer, right? And there will be plenty of people in the chat and on different like forums and avenues saying we can't sell them both, we can't buy 2 players. Yeah. Yes, we fucking can, right? This club can easily spend 250 million in the summer, and all 5 of us could be scouts, and we would come up with a list of like 6 players that we would spend 250 million on that would immediately improve this club, right? Because I agree with you. I think we need 2 midfielders. I think we need a left-sided centre back / left back, like a David Hansko from Feyenoord. He's like 30 million. I think he's a class solid defender, right? Nothing like special about his passing and playing out of the back, but he will fucking put his head where nobody will put the leg, right? He is the type of guy. 2 midfielders, a winger, and a striker, in my opinion, right? And buy like 2 youngsters. But like we are linked to the Olympiacos, like 17-year-old striker and midfielder. Go buy them.
17.
Yeah. Don't do like Chelsea though. Don't do like Chelsea.
I wouldn't mind buying both of them if we bought like 4 or 5 senior players to help the squad, right? Then go out and spend
exactly like with Gray.
I don't care, right? Same thing with Gray and Bergvall, right? I am actually happy that we bought them, right? I always said this. I am happy that we bought Bergvall and Gray. I'm not happy that they were the only signings in the midfield and there were no senior players on top of that, right? If we bought Locatelli on top of those 2, like I'm just sitting here praising the club for getting the best talents out there.
Imagine if we had Bergvall and Gray, when we had Wanyama, we had Eriksen, when we had imagine when we had that kind of core. You can go further back when we had Modric. Imagine if we had youth players then that were on the level as Bergvall now. That they could have someone that this player above me, this senior is top class. Everything he does, I should learn from. They don't have that. The reason they develop now is solely based off their own talent. They were developing their own talent by their own. Okay, there's coaching to it, of course, but there's not like they don't have a top quality midfielder that they can look up to, and that helps extremely when it comes to development. They don't have a boosting part. They don't have that.
We don't buy any sort of established player, and what I mean by established is like, say for instance, Alderweireld. When we went and got him, he was a good defender. And that's what he was. He wasn't quality. He wasn't even classed as very good. I mean, look at where we got him from, for God's sake. But when he came to us, he was established. And then we took him to the next levels, basically.
Yeah.
We don't even go out and get established players anymore. It's like we're going out and we're hitting at hopes all the time. I mean, you can even say when we got Richarlison, he was established. Yes, he has turned out to be complete dog shit, but he was okay. An established Premier League player as such. You could almost say it with Solanke, but it's two players that have definitely been crap. What I'm saying is we're not even getting players most of the time now. Like Archie Gray, for me, should never have been bought. Not for 40 million. Never in a million years.
Mm-hmm.
When we should have gone and got an established player there and
Would
then.
have changed our
Whereas
season.
like if Mike says, if we'd have gone and got ourselves an established midfielder there, I'd have been quite happy with getting Gray and Bergvall and that. But what has Gray done for what he's meant to actually be there for? And that's be a central midfielder. And he's got about six players in front of him, including Kulusevski, who will get the players over him unless there's no option. So in that aspect, for me, did we actually get him to play him as an emergency right back or as an emergency centre back? I don't think so. And without injuries, would him and Bergvall have even seen time in the game? I don't think so. We don't buy established players anymore.
No.
Guys, I need to wrap it up there. I know we could go on for another hour, but we've already gone half an hour over. Let me quickly go around, say thank you to everyone and find out if you've got any shows coming up. Dan, thanks for coming on tonight. You got any shows coming up this week? You normally got something early on a Monday or Tuesday, haven't you?
Yeah, in the next day or two, I'll have something in the morning.
Make sure you go to the Hotspur Hood. If you hit the notification bell, you get notified when Dan's going to go live. So you don't have to keep checking. How's about that? Adam, thanks for coming on the watch along and today as well.
No.
Appreciate you coming on, bro.
Thanks, Still. No, it's really good of you. Thanks for inviting us again. I really appreciate it, Still.
Yeah, thanks for your input. Listen, mate, you talk a lot of sense. It's good to have you on. Alex, good to have you on the watch along and today as well, man. Have you got any shows or channels you're jumping on this week at all on other platforms, or you just
not really. It's more spontaneous.
hanging around in the comments?
Yeah. Thank you for inviting me. Thanks.
Mate, always welcome. Always welcome. Just a quick super chat came in at the end there from a user who says £12 million compensation if Ange is sacked.
Is it that much?
We've got,
It's
listen,
the length for the contract.
You're retired now.
can I say, we had to pay that to Conte Mourinho for 1 year's work. So it's not the end of the world.
Exactly.
They were worth
Michael,
it.
listen, everyone's hopes on this Europa Cup, man. It's just such a con. It's unbelievable. But Michael, thanks for coming on. Are you on any shows this week, or are you just floating around as always?
Just probably will be on one of your shows, maybe, if you do some. Like I'm honest, probably on like one or two other channels. I just appear here and there. But honestly, I'm kind of fucking sick of, like, I'm sick of Spurs for a long time, but like this game is what's the saying? A straw that broke the camel's back, right?
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
You know what? In January, I got this really bad flu, and then I recovered from it. It was 2 weeks, man. It was just pain and illness. And then I got this stomach bug that wiped me out, and I was vomiting, going toilet, and I couldn't eat. And then I got over that. Then I got a cold, and I literally went through 2 months of ill. And I said to myself, I was lying in bed one day, and I said, I'm sick of being sick.
Yeah.
Right? That's how I feel about Spurs. I'm sick of us being sick. That's where I'm at. I'm like, I can't take it, but we've got another 2 months of this, guys. Thank God the international break's up. Big up to William. Thank you, brother. Ian, JD, Henry Fong TV, big up to you. The 2 marks. A user with loads of super chats. Thank you, A user. Dietrich Kane. Michael from Poland, channel member, big up. Also on the show. Dietrich Kane, A user. Again, Stixie, big up. Channel member. Ed X, as always, regular on the shows. Alex and A user again, guys. Thank you to all of you. Appreciate everyone. Those of you in the chat as well throughout the night, thanks for your contribution and your comments. I will be back tomorrow at 1 p.m. On Big Up. There's a link to the show. I'll be doing a post-match. Huh?
Yeah. I just want to say this quickly before we end. I hope that seeing what Newcastle did today, what it brought to their fans, like the euphoria that all of those Newcastle fans, not just in Wembley but worldwide, experienced today, that isn't impossible. That is supposed to come to fans like us to Spurs fans. We historically we deserve that at least once every 5 years. I mean,
our fans don't care, mate. They want to be entertained.
change in ownership. I just want to say that if this doesn't
That's become
boost the numbers,
politicised now, stuff.
if
That
this doesn't
word,
boost the numbers,
entertain.
I just hope it boosts the number for the protest even more, motivates
It
people
will.
to.
The loss today will boost it. The loss today
Yeah,
will boost it.
That scored too, so it's just a little cherry on top. I just hope it boosts. If I could come, I would, but I have.
I'll tell you what will boost it. I'll tell you what will really boost it if we get smashed at Stamford Bridge after the international break. But anyway,
5-0.
there's the link tomorrow, 1 p.m. Post-match analysis show. Make sure you come and check us out. And then 8:30 p.m. on YouTube, we'll be back again with Iggy, Maz, Ian. I don't know who else comes on anymore. I forgot. Others, JP, Mari, Lee. Anyway, come check us out tomorrow night at 8:30 p.m. on YouTube, 1 p.m. on Big Up, and check out Dan's channel as well. He'll be going live Monday or Tuesday at some point. All right, man. Thanks, everyone. As always, we'll be back soon. Enjoy the break. We can't lose for 2 weeks, which is a good thing because there's no football. Come on. Do you know what? It's not even coming, you Spurs. See you later. Have a good week.
I got it, man.
No, Mike. Dan.
The first game we look for, Robbie. Tottenham away. When we got Tottenham away.